breathtaking views of the Snoqualmie Valley, great live entertainment, amazing happy hour options. So check them out at snocasino.com. It is Seattle's closest Snoqualmie Casino.
7:15 to 7:17. Selection varies.
Let's go!
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma.
This hour is brought to you by the Harnish Auto family.
Give me a freaking auto!
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Brock and Salk on Seattle Sports.
Brock Ewert is my hero.
Jay Buhner just punched me in the kidney.
Brought to you by Simply Seattle.
We're going to accuse you of manager.
That really worked that way, Sherm. This is a show that has my name on it.
It kind of does, though.
Now here are your hosts, Brock Ewert and Mike Salk.
All right, let's get this going here in the Brock and Salk Show. Seattle Sports on 710, seattlesports.com, and the Seattle Sports app, plus all the podcast platforms, all of them everywhere. Thanks for being with us this morning. Hopefully you were able to survive the trauma of Teoscar Hernandez winning the home run derby yesterday after I know everybody was so upset about the time he spent here last year in a Mariners uniform. He did win he won the home run derby. It's very sad.
Yeah. Yep.
Were you upset? Did it bother you yesterday when that happened?
I love him. I was rooting for him.
Yeah.
I wanted him to win.
I mean, it just seemed kind of par for the course, right?
Yeah, I know there's so much frustration about stuff like that. And when a guy like Teo ends up winning something and is in the public eye and all of that, people just kind of get themselves all up in arms. And I understand why. This guy to do that while he was here. Well, he wasn't in it while he was here. I mean, he's having a better year this year. But, you know, Teo wasn't bad last year. 740 OPS was down, certainly, from his career average of 802. But it's not like he came in here and was the worst player on the field. He was pretty good. They could have decided to re-sign him or given him the qualifying offer, and they decided not to. I would have liked to have seen him be the DH here this year. That's just me. It's interesting just kind of looking at the numbers of what he's put up this year. It's been a good year. I mean, all-star for the second time in his career. Part of that is playing in Dodger Stadium with that lineup and all of the eyes that are on it. That helps, but he's had a really good year. I mean, an OPS over 800, which now makes you like a superstar because nobody does that anymore with the way the hitting has declined in Major League Baseball. Yeah, I mean, Teo is a pretty darn good hitter. He always was. He strikes out a lot, and he's striking out a lot this year. But he's hitting 19 home runs in Dodger Stadium, which is somewhat due to, you know, the stadium and the heat and everything else that they play with down there. And it's compared to the 26 home runs that he hit here a year ago, which, again, was more than he had hit in his final year in Toronto. I know people tend to get upset about this stuff, but, you know, he hit more home runs.
He had a pretty atrocious start here. And then
he had a really bad start in the cold. Everybody did. And then he picked it up and was part of a team that finished 11th in runs scored. It's just funny to me. Like, they let someone like Teo go. And I liked him. I would have kept Teo around, I think, as a DH, not as a right fielder. I wasn't too comfortable with him in right field by the end. But I think you had an opportunity to make him your DH this year, and I would have been just fine with that. You know who he's a lot better hitter than? Jazz Chisholm. And that's like the new name that's being floated right now to like come in and save the Mariner offense. I'm not sure I'm buying it. Just looking at the numbers, I don't see anything from Chisholm that says, can we just call him Jazz? Because I'm finding it difficult to say the last name. I don't see anything that says savior. He doesn't play a tremendous amount. He's gotten hurt basically every year of his career. He has a little bit of pop, which is great for a second baseman, but it doesn't really come with getting on base, which would be pretty important considering he's got some speed. I mean, he's a good player, but he's a essentially average OPS guy. In fact, dead average. He's got a 100 OPS. 100 is average. Anything above it is better. Anything below it is worse. He's 100. He is the average MLB hitter. Teo this year? Yeah, a little bit better than that. Teo is a 125 OPS guy, which is just slightly ahead of his career 119. Yeah.
Are any of those numbers deceiving when it looks at the teams that you're playing on? Are those numbers like?
I'm sure that is a factor. Yeah, I mean, like when you play in a stacked lineup, I'm sure it helps. When you play in a lineup that's not stacked, I'm sure it hurts.
Yeah.
But is that like the reason? I don't know. I find that hard. Baseball is such a solitary sport. Yes, I think in the old days, I've mentioned this before, I think in the old days it mattered a lot more than it does now. I can't prove that, but just watching games, if you hit eighth in a lineup in 2007, you probably got a ton of fastballs. And if you hit eighth in a lineup now, you don't. On 3-1 counts, they don't just throw you a fastball. They throw you a curveball or a slider or a sweeper or whatever it is they think they can get you out with. They just don't give in to hitters ever anymore. And so I do think that those days have passed a little bit. Guy's just having a good year. Good for him. I always liked Teo. Always enjoyed him while he was here. Enjoyed the guy. Remember when we asked him what he was wearing because he smelled so good? It's like, man, why are you so good smelling? I mean, he just really smelled great. He was out there yesterday. He's good looking. His wife's good looking. The whole crew of them. What a scene at the home run derby.
Salk.
No, they were fun. I like the Hernandezes.
Super likable guy.
Super likable. Justin, you tweeted it last night. I thought you were absolutely right. Anyway, speaking of likable, Alex Rodriguez is going to join us today at 8:30. Threw this out there last night just to let some more people know who didn't happen to be listening to the show yesterday. And there's a lot of mixed opinion on Alex Rodriguez. I was texting with some friends and telling them that I was going to be talking to him today, and they were, like, well, are you going to yell at him? It's like, no. I mean, he's coming on the show, right? I mean, I am curious how people in Seattle feel about A-Rod these days. Are you still mad? No issues if you are, by the way. I'm not going to get mad at you. I get it. I think at some point, the fact that he left for such an enormous amount of money, it became the norm in baseball, right? $25 million a year, though, is still a lot of money. Yeah. He left in 2000, 24 years ago, right? $225 million a year is still a huge number, especially over the course of, 10 years? That's still a lot of money. And, obviously he had a couple more after that, and everything else that happened with A-Rod kind of complicates the legacy. It was interesting because I don't really, I wasn't here. I don't remember all the details. It was interesting reading people talking about some of his comments ahead of time that he didn't want to be traded at the deadline because he wanted the Mariners to, have a chance to sign him. And in retrospect, if, he was never really going to sign here, should he have done that or should he have allowed the team to trade him and go somewhere else? Maybe because he left for nothing. Of course, the next year, you win, 116 games? So it's difficult to say that set the franchise back. Maybe it did a few years later. Maybe it made it harder for them to sustain that 2001 run any longer than that because they didn't have the next generation of prospects coming up. And I'll buy that. Yeah, I mean, he probably could have helped them sustain it. And maybe they do get farther than they did in either 2000 or 2001. I don't know. So if you're mad about that, I get it. If you've just said, hey, you know what, it's been forever and I'm just not mad anymore because I'm tired of it, that's fine too.
Yeah, a lot of it was, I was too young to really fully grasp it when it happened, so I was just told to hate him basically growing up. And I remember the Monopoly money raining down. Right. I remember all that stuff, right, as a kid watching it on TV and being like, okay, yeah, he's not our guy anymore. I hate him.
I want to hear from you and Brock a little bit about it specifically, Justin. At 8 o'clock, we'll kind of go through that. I think Moore and I are going to have some similar opinions, and our opinions of A-Rod are going to be probably formed
Ours
more.
are tainted by Red Sox fandom.
Well, yeah, I mean, what happened in 2003 and
Sure.
2004, and he was almost traded to the Red Sox, and then he goes to the Yankees, and, the fight with Jason Varitek and slapping the ball out of Arroyo's hands.
Yeah.
There's a lot in there. I mean, it's a complicated legacy and one filled with a lot of vitriol specifically for him. Then you throw in all of the PED suspensions and everything else, like his legacy. And then
the off-field stuff. I read a book on him that the ESPN reporter wrote. And it's like, man, this is not a good dude.
There's a tremendous amount. And then complicated even farther by that, sort of Russell Wilson-like desire to be liked by everyone. I mean, when Russ came up, that was the comp immediately. Well, he kind of reminds everybody of A-Rod. So it's a complicated legacy. I will again state for anybody who is looking, because I saw a few people saying, I hope you're going to attack him. I hope you're not going to hold back. Like, well, this isn't really a chance to yell at the guy. It's a chance to ask him some questions. And the reasons that we wanted him on early when we first started having this conversation was to talk about Julio. Why is Julio struggling? Who could possibly understand what it's like to be Julio? Maybe A-Rod. A guy who also came up very early and had great success and understands what it's like to be in a position of a young star. Let's ask A-Rod about Julio. So that's why it came about. Once he agrees to come on, you realize, well, hold on a minute. This guy hasn't been on in Seattle since 2000. As far as I know, he hasn't even really talked to writers. Maybe he has, and I don't, haven't read it. But I haven't been able to find anything really of him even talking in Seattle. So, yeah, we're going to give him an opportunity to talk about leaving. What happened? Is there anything we don't know about what happened? Is there anything that you've thought about and gained perspective over the last 24 years? I am curious. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to know what that was all about. Mm-hmm. But if you're looking for somebody to be like, to drag him through the streets here, that's probably not going to happen because maybe we'd want to have him on again. This isn't like, and by the way, he and Brock are Fox teammates. So, this isn't going to be, I think, a contentious interview. But the guys agreed to come on.
Get your pound of flesh in this one.
No, I don't think so. But I'm curious to hear what he has to say, and we'll ask him some questions designed to dig into what it is he felt and how he feels about all of that now, and what he'd like to say to the people of Seattle, a group of people that he left and hasn't really said a lot to ever since. Mm-hmm. So that's coming up this morning at 8:30. We'll give you guys everything you need to know next. Brock and Salk, Seattle Sports on 710.
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy.
Stacy, we just talked to Trevor Sikkema about the best offseason move for the Seahawks, and he had Mike Macdonald hire as that. But what was the best offseason move for Seattle outside of that hire?
I would have chosen Mike Macdonald as well. My second best would just be continuing to address the trenches, particularly the defensive line, which they did in the draft at number 16, taking Byron Murphy. I think that outside of hiring Mike Macdonald, focusing on their needs and then actually doing something about it was, I think, the best move that they made.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
After years of wear and tear, Joe had osteoarthritis in his wrists and shoulders.
I've pretty much worked out my whole life. I actually decided I'm going to train for a half Ironman triathlon.
The pain was interfering with every part of his life.
Basically, can't sleep, causing those kind of problems, very limited movement.
Joe had surgery, but it wasn't the fix he was looking for.
The doctor told me, he's like, hey, this is just going to be a partial fix. You're going to eventually need joint replacement.
That's when he decided to see Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine for stem cell therapy.
And they're just getting better. I can basically do full motion. I don't have really any pain.
What kinds of things are you able to do now that you weren't before?
I like to golf, and it definitely has made my golf game not as painful. And sleeping. I'm sleeping better because I don't have that aching at night going on and have to roll over.
So, are you recommending this to others?
Oh, everybody I talk to. Yeah, it's a no-brainer.
Before you choose surgery, consider stem cell therapy with Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine. Schedule your consultation at drmarkwagnermd.com.
You gotta love baseball season, but when it comes to your windows, you don't want any curveballs. Rick Riz here, reminding you to trust your clubhouse with locally owned Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington. Experience the difference with high-quality products, expert installation, and top-notch customer service. It's always a home run with Pella. Schedule a free consultation with Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington. Just go to PellaPNW.com. That's PellaPNW.com.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer, he hears things differently. To the untrained ear, everything on his shop floor might sound fine, but he can hear gears grinding or a belt slipping. So he steps in to fix the problem at hand before it gets out of hand. And he knows Grainger's got the right product he needs to get the job done, which is music to his ears. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
As a roofer, I don't have time to fail. Homeowners rely on me, so I rely on Beacon. Beacon's unique network of branches work together to get me what I need when I need it. And with the Beacon Pro Plus app, I've got the brands I depend on, like GAF, right at my fingertips. Now through September 15th, purchase high-quality GAF with Beacon Pro Plus and earn up to $1,500. Go to BECN.com or download the Beacon Pro Plus app today. Beacon, always building.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Progressive presents 10 things on a contractor's to-do list that are harder than getting a commercial auto insurance quote. Bidding a new client, giving an accurate estimate, finding affordable materials, getting a client to pay you for work you already did, getting a client to pay you, period, securing permits and workers and tools, getting those workers and tools to work together, and finding the perfect pair of overalls. Pockets, baby. But the easiest thing on a small business owner's to-do list? Seeing if you can save on commercial auto insurance. Get a quote in as little as 7 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Coverage subject to policy terms and conditions.
4 down territory. Going inside the game. What Michael Bumpus.
I like this. More quarterbacks should start doing this.
Every day at 11:15 and 1:15 on Bumpin' Stacy.
Hey, Brock Ewart here with my buddy Dave Taylor from First Mark Insurance. You know, Dave, I love sport. You love sport. And I love sitting with coaches and hearing their game plan each and every week. What are the keys to a First Mark Insurance game plan?
It's a great question, Brock. I think there's really 3 keys to a great game plan with us. Number 1 is we want to make sure that our clients have the correct coverage for their unique specific needs. So that's number 1. Do you have the right coverage? Number 2, once we have the right coverage, are we getting that coverage at the most competitive price possible? And then last and not least would be, once we have the right coverage at the most competitive price, are we providing world-class service to those customers so that when they need it, they have someone there that's got their back?
Those are the 3 keys to a First Mark Challenge victory. And man, am I so glad Molly and I took the challenge. We are one of so many through a decade plus of being a First Mark Challenge victory. You can too. Just simply go to firstmarkinsurance.com, firstmarkinsurance.com.
It's Dave Wyman for R&R Foundation Specialist. Your home's foundation supports everything that sits on top of it. You know, the most common cause of a settling foundation is a condition in the soil called differential settlement. It goes back to inconsistent soil compaction when your home was first built, which in turn causes your entire home to bend and twist. And what you'll notice in your home when that occurs? Sloped floors, bowed or cracked walls, or windows and doors that don't open and close properly. R&R Foundation Specialist raises and restores settling foundations by repositioning the load of your home onto steel piers that they drive deep into the ground. Then they gently lift it back into place with a hydraulic lift. It's a permanent solution to restore your home's foundation and its structural integrity. If you suspect your foundation is settling, do what I did. Have R&R Foundation Specialist come out for free. They'll identify the issue, and they will resolve it. Schedule your free estimate at rrfoundationspecialist.com.
This hour is brought to you by the Harnish Auto family.
Need to know.
15 minutes past every hour with Brock and Salk.
Here's what you need to know. Up first.
Well, if you're looking to be mad, you can always find a way, and yesterday was one of those options. Final pairing of the Home Run Derby, certainly giving Mariners fans all kinds of opportunities to be mad. It was the kid who passed Julio, at least this year, taking on the guy that didn't hit enough last season as a Mariner, and now has 19 bombs in L.A. this season. It would be Teoscar Hernandez, though, who ultimately triumphed over Bobby Witt Jr.
Teoscar Hernandez is your 2024 T-Mobile Home Run Derby champ. What a show Bobby Witt Jr. and Teoscar Hernandez put on in this final round.
It was a show, but it didn't feel like there were as many home runs or as many crazy long home runs as we've seen some other years.
It's not like no one put on a show like Julio did the last couple of years.
Yeah, or even like Vlad Jr. or the whole Garcia Rosarina thing.
The new rules kind of threw me off.
Yeah, I didn't think it helped, but I did think the ending was great. It was fun to see that. I mean, the ball coming up a couple feet short when he needed one home run to tie. That was actually kind of awesome. Like, that made it a little bit cooler. And I always liked Teo. He was gracious, as you might imagine.
Man, this is amazing, man. Everything that I'm feeling right now is, there's no word I can describe what I'm feeling in front of my family, in front of everybody that is here.
Just a nice guy. He was always really nice to deal with. Always enjoyed Teo. And, congratulations. He beats Bobby Witt Jr. by 1 home run. Now, more interestingly, perhaps, on Teo were his pre-home run derby comments about his time in Seattle. This comes from Adam Jude's article in the Seattle Times. He says, quote, "I had a great time. Unfortunately, I didn't feel the way I wanted to feel when I was playing at home. When I say that, it's not about the fans. It's not about the team or the front office or anybody that has to do with the team." He went on to say he never felt like he was lined up in a straight line, which we've heard before, by the way, with the pitcher's mound at T-Mobile Park. It was a little crooked, he said. I didn't really feel straight with the pitcher. For some reason, I moved everywhere in the batter's box and tried to fix it, but I couldn't figure it out. It's amazing. This is sort of persisted. He said that he's talked to other players around the league and that they agree as well. Maybe it's the batter's eye. Maybe it's the pitcher's mound. He seemed to feel like the batter's box was not in the right angle to the pitcher's mound. Everyone has some different theories on this, and that maybe that's one of the reasons it's more difficult to hit here than it is everywhere else. I mean, my understanding is they've done a whole bunch of tests to figure out if anything is crooked, and they were never able to determine that anything is. Maybe it has to do with the batter's eye, and maybe there's something else you could do. But, you know, some of the old parks like Fenway, like Fenway's batter's eye is literally just like a sheet, like a big green sheet that they put up over some of the stands in center field. I've never heard anybody complain about that. So, I don't know. Some tee boxes are crooked. Right? If you've ever been golfing, if you're a golf fan, sometimes like you're like, God, every time I get to this tee box, I just feel like it's facing the wrong direction. It messes me up. Maybe it's that, but he's a professional hitter. It is really interesting that many people seem to back this up. Anyway, that's the news from Teo. All-Star game will be tonight. Logan Gilbert will be there. He's not going to pitch. Maybe, though, we'll see Andres Munoz, who is also on the team.
Here's the second thing you need to know.
Pitchers and catchers. For the first 9 rounds of the draft, the Mariners took pitchers and one catcher, and just for good measure, one guy who pitches and catches, though presumably not at the same time. He seems like more of a catcher, so maybe they're thinking about life without Harry Ford and Cal Raleigh electing free agency in a few years. Who knows? They did take a couple of Division I relievers. One name that jumps out to me is 7th rounder Brock Moore from Oregon. You know anything about Brock Moore?
I do not.
Well, he's already 24 years old, so he's a little old to be finishing up college. He was a JUCO guy. He's 6'6", 220, so he's got the body that you're looking for. But he was not very good in college. In fact, this past year, he had a 5.81 ERA, and he had a 1.54 WHIP. Both of those numbers are terrible. Over 31 innings and 17 appearances. That does not scream major leaguer. You know who it sounds like? Brian Wu and Logan Evans. 2 guys who did not really do a whole heck of a lot in college to make you think that they were going to be successful major leaguers, but joined the Mariners, got onto the right track, they made whatever tweaks they needed to make, and put themselves obviously into position. One who's had a great sophomore campaign, and the other maybe in the big league sooner rather than later. So maybe 7th rounder Brock Moore will end up being the next version of Brian Wu.
Here's the third thing you need to know.
If you thought Geno Smith might make ESPN's list of top 10 quarterbacks, you were wrong. He did not. He was not in the top 10, nor was he one of the 6 honorable mentions, nor was he one of the other 2 who were receiving votes. So in this list compiled by coaches, executives, and scouts around the league, he was not in the top 18. Matt Stafford was in the top 10. Brock Purdy was in the honorable mention category. Even Kyler Murray received votes. So all 3 other quarterbacks in the NFC West were in some way on this list. Seahawks rookies going to report for training camp tomorrow, with veterans now right around the corner. That's everything you need to know. 1/4 every hour here on the Brock and Salk Show.
Did you watch the whole entire Derby?
You know, I was trying to watch Geno Smith stuff because I know he's been tweeting some things about, working out and this and that.
Uh-huh.
I went to go see it and found out that I couldn't.
Are you blocked?
I appear to be blocked.
Why does this always happen to you?
It doesn't happen to me a lot.
Oh.
It's just him and Sherm.
Sure.
No, I'm not sure. I mean, it could be other people.
Have you checked DK's account
Maura,
lately?
Are you blocked,
Does
Maura?
DK still post?
Well,
I figured he was done, which is why I never see
thinks
anything
that you
from
hate
him.
him already, so I just assumed he may have.
That's a
blocked
good
you,
question.
too.
Let's see. I haven't even thought about DK.
Did he block the whole show? Are you blocked, Maura? I can see Geno's.
Yeah, I can see Geno's.
Okay.
I can see DK. DK didn't block me. Why would DK? I don't hate DK. I love DK.
People
I just think that maybe
listeners think
they
you
could
do,
get better value elsewhere. I don't hate Geno either. I mean, Sherm, yeah, it's a little different now, and that's about the things.
Complicated, yeah.
The thing is, I understand Richard Sherman blocking me because I've taken a lot of umbrage with things he says and does over the course of his career, and I don't like the way he comports himself. I've never said anything about Geno Smith as a human. Geno seems like a great guy, right? For the most part. right? I mean, like, he's had a couple of moments that are questionable. Certainly the DUI thing wasn't perfect, but it's not like I've gone after him and the things he says. Like, he seems like a good guy. I'm not convinced that he's a quarterback that's going to win a Super Bowl. That's worthy of blocking somebody? Grow up, dude. Brock will be in next. We'll talk to A-Rod at 8:30. It's Brock and Salk, Seattle Sports on 710.
Seattle Sports is your exclusive home for Mariners baseball.
That baby is out of here!
Every strikeout.
Swing and a miss for strike 3. Bryce Miller caps his day of 7 scoreless.
Every home run.
Goodbye baseball, he did it! Julio Rodriguez!
Every Mariners win.
And Mitch Haniger, just like the old days! He wins it for the Mariners in the 10th inning!
Stream every game at seattlesports.com or on the Seattle Sports app. We are Seattle Sports.
Guys, did you know your testosterone affects everything in your system, including how you feel and perform every day? Right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. Knowing your T levels is the first step in understanding if you have low T. Your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED. Maintaining an appropriate T level can change your whole life. Most men start to see changes in their hormone levels in their 30s. Experience and results matter. So what are you waiting for? Get your T levels checked today by local, experienced, and trusted men's health experts. They've helped thousands of men since 2011. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Call Revive today and schedule your free testosterone test, free exam, and free consultation. Call Revive Men's Health at 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Tingling and numbness or burning pain in the feet or hands are warning signs of peripheral neuropathy. For years, Sound Pain Solutions has helped thousands using our innovative narcotic-free approach. Now we're excited to introduce our most powerful treatment yet. I'm Dr. Mark Shelley, a chiropractic physician and functional neurologist at Sound Pain Solutions. We've discovered a new bioelectrical treatment that produces remarkable results. Studies show 85% of neuropathy sufferers report a 50% reduction in pain. Our new therapy can reduce pain and regenerate damaged nerves. It's performed by medical providers and naturopathic physicians. It's a breakthrough treatment that has changed the lives of thousands who suffer from nerve pain. At Sound Pain Solutions, all our therapies are non-surgical, FDA-cleared, and narcotic-free. Learn if you qualify for our new neuropathy treatment. Schedule a free consultation by visiting soundpainsolutions.com. soundpainsolutions.com.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. At work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text STAY to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text STAY to 321-321. That's STAY to 321-321.
We meet by accident, fixing every last bit. Accurate Auto Body.
If you've been in an auto accident, you have the right to take your vehicle to any repair facility. Accurate Auto Body has been family owned and operated since 1994, and they work for you, not your insurance company. Your insurance company may not love them, but you will, because
we meet by accident, fixing every last bit. Accurate Auto Body.
the noon hour of the Bump and Stacy Show is powered every day by the caring and compassionate team at Pendergast Law Personal Injury Lawyers. Go to pendergastlaw.com.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out heart-stopping letters, aggressively garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it seem impossible to ever get out of debt. Don't let the tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, the #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in the Fresh Start Initiative, one of the biggest breaks that the IRS has ever offered. If you qualify, you could save thousands. Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, they'll fight to get you the best deal possible. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Looking for the best synthetic turf in the Northwest? At Synthetic Turf Northwest, we resell our premium line of Northwest Pro Natural products to both businesses and consumers. From industry-leading supplies to expert advice, we have everything you need to complete your installation, whether it's for your customers or for your own DIY project. Now through July 31st, ask about how you can beat the heat and save up to $1,000 on your next project. It's a limited time offer, so call us today and discover why we're the Northwest's trusted source for quality synthetic turf. SyntheticTurfNorthwest.com, 425-788-0718.
Kick off summer by checking out the incredible showroom at Toyota of Kirkland. With a wide selection of Camrys on the lot, including the brand new 2025 Hybrid Camry, along with the new inventory of Tundras and Tacomas. All with the lifetime powertrain warranty, you're in for a summer to remember. The unbeatable team at Toyota of Kirkland will set up your test drive, and you can take that car home the same day. Get your summer groove on at Toyota of Kirkland or visit online at toyotaofkirkland.com. Brock and Salk's Rewind is presented by Toyota of Kirkland.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Brock and Salk
Weekdays 6 to 10.
on Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Big week of guests here on Brock and Salk. It's All-Star Week, and sometimes that can be slow. We determined that we would not let that happen this year. So, 7:30 this morning, an hour from now, we'll talk to Chris Eagan as he gets ready to head to the Olympics. Get some of his Olympic storylines. Chris is the best. We'll just talk to him about whatever it is that's on his mind at 7:30. At 8:30 today, Alex Rodriguez will make his first appearance on this station. As far as I know, and again, I haven't done a ton of research, but I don't think he's been on in Seattle since he left nearly 25 years ago. So that should be a fascinating interview with A-Rod, partially about Julio Rodriguez and today's Mariners, but also about his decision to leave and how he feels all these years later about it. So that's coming up today at 8:30. Tomorrow at 8:30 will be Jerry Dipoto, and we'll get his thoughts here at the All-Star break and following the draft. And then Friday, the biggest guest of all, G. Scott, I think we've been able to con into coming in here at 8:30 as well. So, and Jeff Passan, I'm sorry, on Thursday. I missed that one. I missed Jeff Passan on Thursday. He had to move from today to Thursday due to a meeting that he had. So every day at Thursday, we got a little something big. Yesterday, that was Kevin Burkhardt, lead NFL announcer for Fox and also studio host for Fox's baseball coverage, and just I think the world of him. He is awesome. And unfortunately for him, we started because Brock was, freaking out as usual, and as we welcomed him, he was ready to just help out his poor Fox teammate.
I'm great. I'm just wondering if I have to spend this call playing psychologist.
You do.
Brock.
Well, I've been doing it all morning, and yeah.
I've already seen it on text messages, so I figure that's where this is going today.
You get the same text messages we do? They're unhinged.
No, he gets a very, very tamped down version of it. All right, just a little frustrated. But
just a little bit, but we're all good. It's good to be with you guys today.
KB, thanks for doing this, man. I know you're in the car heading over to the All-Star game. And before we get to the Mariners, how about that? How about just set the table for the next couple days for all of us? We saw you last year in Seattle. It was all right in our backyard. Now it's down there in Texas. But two of our favorite Mariners are going to be a part of it. Just set the table for what's to come over the next 48 hours.
Yeah, it was a blast last year in Seattle. We had so much fun there. A little hotter this particular game, but we're indoors today. So, I just think, with these games and today we've got a fun show. We've got a 2-hour show on the air on FS1 where we just, we just have a lot of guests coming on and seeing guys. But I always think, I go back to my childhood and I always think that, these games are about matchups for me. And even though, when we were younger, there wasn't interleague play. So, you didn't see these matchups on a daily basis, right? So I know a lot of these you will see at some point during the year. But I can't wait to see Paul Skeens start the game and, see him face, Aaron Judge and like that type of thing. I mean, I think that's what the game's about in my eyes is those matchups. I only wish that they would find a way to, have them later in the game and maybe be able to swap and sub and bring guys back in the game later. But those are the kind of things that I look forward to. I think it's just a fun event, especially for the hometown fans, get to see their players, in this case, 3 Rangers on the field. I just think it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I got to go for the first time last year. I brought my mom, and it was amazing. It really was a cool deal. It was cooler than I even thought it would be. First the Derby the night before, and then the game. It was a really, really special thing to be a part of, and I'm sure you view this as one of the cool dates on your calendar with your job. When you are there, who do you think shines the brightest among the stars?
In terms of last year, Mike, is that what you're talking about?
Or even who do you expect to this year?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think it's hard to outshine Shohei Ohtani at anything. So I think he's just so massive and he's so popular and he's so fun and that's going to be cool. And and then from a TV perspective for us, we always do some really cool things. And I like the mic'd up players during the game.
Yeah.
I think, we've had conversations in the past where a pitcher's talking to a catcher and, they're talking about what they're going to do. And, tonight, a little spoiler, I think we're micing up a few of the Phillies at the same time while they're on the field. I just think that stuff is awesome, kind of behind the scenes and hear what they're saying and what they're talking about. And then the last thing is it's just generally guys are excited to be here, So, there's a lot of guys. I'd start with Ohtani, with Judge, probably 1A and 1B, and go from there.
We are so close to these Mariners, and yes, you feel some of the emotion every once in a while. KB on the text toy that comes out of this 48-year-old that's been a Mariner fan since the day he was born and lives and dies with every pitch and every inning and every game of these guys for the last, 4 decades of my life, including a hell of a run in the 90s and the early 2000s. It was a lot of fun. With these Mariners in particular, and I'm curious from a national perspective, where do you put this rotation compared to some other great ones in baseball right now?
Well, I think it's them and the Phillies, 1 and 2, however way you want to rank them. And there's a lot of good ones in the game. There's no doubt about it. But that's the way I would rank it today. And I think that's probably what you and every other Mariner fan is frustrated about, right? Because, you get that rotation in the playoffs here. I mean, you get that in a best-of-5 first-round series in a DS, and you're like, man, pick your poison in that rotation. And I think that's why it's so frustrating why they haven't been able to hit. But listen, I think the cool thing about the M's rotation, it's similar to the Philly rotation. You could pick who you want to start in game 1, right? You can't really go wrong. I'm sure it would be either Gilbert or Castillo, but I'm sure you could go Kirby there too. Heck, you go Wu there. You go whoever you want to go, and I think they'd be totally fine. So now it's just a matter of fact of finding the hitting. But yeah, Brock, I think they're top 2. I think they're neck and neck with Philly, who's also exceptional with Wheeler and Nola, and then Sanchez has been great, and so is Ranger Suarez this year. Those 2 guys have been awesome, and they're both all-stars. So, I think they're that good, and that's why it would be a shame not to see them get a chance in the playoffs to really do some damage.
It's impossible to predict these things, but I was going to ask you if you expect to see any offense at all in this game, and only because there's so little of it in the game in general now, and you're going to add, all of the best pitchers to this game. Can baseball sustain this just complete lack of offense? And we're a little biased here in Seattle because we're getting even less than everybody else is getting. But can baseball sustain this?
Well, I don't think it's a great formula. It's a hard thing, right, Mike? Because you don't want to sound like the guys like, oh, back when I was younger, and because that's not it. I love the sport, and it's a great sport. But I think maybe even more than lack of offense. And, I don't know that we're going to get away from exactly where the game is right now, with, what it's done, which is essentially, 3 true outcomes, a homer, a walk, or a strikeout. I think they've done a good job with the rule changes and getting, the bases and stolen bases and base running back in the game a lot more than it had been in a long time. And I think that's been a really good thing for the game. I think, though, look, would it be better to have, somebody be able to get a runner home on second with, less than 2 outs? Yeah. It doesn't exist anymore unless the ball goes out of the yard. And then I think the other thing is the reality is I just think somehow the game's got to get back to starting pitching because, Brock, you're asking about the best rotations in baseball. Well, there's not a lot of rotations that have guys that go past 4 innings. So, while the Mariners and Phillies have great rotations, there's not a heck of a lot of those out there. And I think that's part of a thing, too, that I like to see come back, too. And who knows, maybe it can, right? We've got some of those. I think the guy on the mound tonight for Pittsburgh is one of those throwback guys, Skeens, who can kind of help bring it back. Obviously, you see it all the time with the Mariners rotation. But I think those are the 3 things that I'd like to see, Mike.
The great voice, it is Kevin Burkhardt. We'll get to maybe a football question or two at the very end of this thing. And you sit there with some amazing Hall of Fame players at that desk. In fact, A-Rod's going to join us tomorrow morning on the show, which will be a lot of fun for us. Kevin, first time we've talked to him in 15 years for us. But, some guys up there that could do some damage night in and night out. What is their answer to the struggle of so many of the young stars, the Bichettes, the Julios here in our market, guys that were just ascending over the last couple years, right, that are just in the absolute prime and youth that have just taken such a significant step back this year? What is their answer as to why so many of the young stars have struggled this year?
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for them. We certainly have had a lot of conversations about that. We talked about it, maybe not specific players at dinner last night, but that type of thing. And I just think it's a little bit of a philosophy, right? And Brock, the reality is, guys aren't getting paid to move runners over and bunt a runner to third base. It's just not the way the game is right now. And so guess what? If you don't have an April where you hit 8 home runs and, driving a bunch of runs and, maybe you're not on your game, well, all of a sudden you're hitting 180 and you've got 1 home run and that's a big hole to dig out of. Where a bad April used to be maybe, 240. It's just different, and I know the game's played different. I know we look at it a little differently, but I think then all of a sudden you're just digging out of this ginormous hole, and that's hard to do. The reality is, no matter how talented you are, like some of those guys. I mean, I think Vlad Guerrero Jr. is a pretty good example, right? He's been so up and down, in his career, and he's had these stretches where you can't get him out, and then he's had these stretches where you're like, wait a second, is this the same guy, And I think Julio, it's a little shocking just because of how talented he is, and we've seen it on display. But I think getting off to a slow start is even more detrimental than it used to be because I just think, as a player, when I talk to these guys, you get up, you see your numbers on the big board when you go up to home plate, right? And I think they're a little worse with the way the game is played with a slow start now. It's a little tough to see 180 on the scoreboard May 15th, even if batting average is not a number that we care about anymore.
It's a great answer. Kevin, I got to ask you about this because I love what Fox is doing. I love that the rest of us are not going to get a chance to hear you and Tom Brady together until it actually happens in game 1 of the season, which is awesome. The mystery factor is incredible. Have you guys been practicing together? Have you been working? Like, do you know each other? Like, what is this going to look like?
Actually, Mike, we've never met, and when we walk into the booth week 1, it'll be the first time we shake hands.
It'll be amazing. You're going to introduce yourself.
We're going to do it different. We're going to do it differently. Just see how it goes.
That will be must-see television.
I love the question because, you know what? I mean, knowing each other is a big part of it, right?
Sure.
Yes. So the answer is yes. We've been practicing. Yes, we've been. Part of it is just getting to know each other. I've known Tom in doing his games and having production meetings with him, but I didn't know him until this year. And
how do you get to know Tom Brady? Look, Greg Olson's a good player, and getting to know Greg Olson makes sense. How do you get to know arguably the greatest athlete any of us have ever seen?
It's as simple as the same thing. If I were getting to know you a little bit better, we go to dinner, we go play golf, and just shoot the breeze about whatever, about football, about whatever, and you kind of build. You build your trust that way. When you know someone a little bit better, well, then you could say things to them that you wouldn't if you didn't know them that well. And then when you're practicing together, you guys have, you guys, us, we have, open conversations and we just talk. How can we do this? Or what about this? And try things. And those conversations are better because you know each other, and so that's kind of the whole part of it, is building trust and getting into his brain a little bit, which is, as you can imagine, pretty vast when it comes to football knowledge, right? It's unbelievable asking him football questions and hearing his answers. So I think that's going to be the cool thing on the air. But Mike, that has been a big part of this, and it's been a fun part, just getting to know who he is and what makes him tick. So we've been practicing, as you would imagine, and it's just been cool. The whole process has been cool. He's been awesome. Just so cool to be around and pick his brain, and he's super into it. So yeah, but it'll be like a Christmas present. You got to wait to unwrap it until week one for the rest of the country.
Pleasure delaying, Brock, just like I always say.
Well,
it was sort of similar for me getting to know Brock. I totally get it. When you're around the presence of greatness and you've never really been around anyone like that before, it was a very similar process for me 15
what Kevin
years
doesn't
ago.
know is that I got to watch some of the tapes. Like, Kevin's not sharing with you. It was a UFL game, Salk. I got to listen to some of it. I wanted to kind of see. And, when Tom Brady said, well, I appreciate that, little baby KK. Like, I thought that was pretty impressive right at the jump.
So well done, Brock. I thought that was our secret, but so well done.
Yeah, I try.
All right, give me real quick. What is one thing you've learned or surprised you about Brady in the time you've spent with him?
Well, I guess this wouldn't count as a surprise, but he just loves the sport. I mean, just loves the game. And again, I guess that's not really a surprise, but Brock, there's guys in sports who play and are good that don't necessarily live it, right? And I know that may sound silly to some people, but he does. And I think that's the coolest thing, is it's not just, okay, hey, Tom, you've won all these Super Bowls and you're the greatest ever. It's he loves the game. Like, we're doing rehearsal games, and, he's excited as hell watching, an old game and something that no one's hearing, because he just loves ball. So that's the coolest thing, is just seeing his passion and love for the actual sport.
And to be paired up with somebody that loves it the same way, it's going to be just fantastic. KB, you're one of the very best. I know you're super, super busy.
Totally agree.
Sorry to continue to ping you and bother you. I will leave you alone now until I see you at the seminar on Friday in LA.
You're a good guest in addition to being a great broadcaster. Yeah. This was awesome. Thank you so much for doing this.
I always love coming on with you guys. So I appreciate it. Enjoy the game. And, we'll see you both soon.
I really enjoy him. I mean, I make no secret of it. When there are people that I like having on, maybe I tell them too often. I don't know. But guys like him, I think are great. He's got a good story, too. He wasn't just gifted like the top job at Fox or anything, right? I mean, Kevin Burkhardt.
Broadcaster.
No, and I know that his dad was Bob Costas.
Yeah,
yes. Okay. I mean, the Joe Buck thing is, and Joe knows it. He'll talk about it, right? Pretty openly. I like Joe also. And Joe will say, like, nepotism, what are you going to do? And Joe's really, really talented and grew up in the family business. And sometimes it's helpful, certainly, to have a dad pave the way for you. But sometimes it's also just helpful to have the family business teach you the ropes and be doing it since you were a little kid, right? I mean, I think certainly we've talked about that with Ken Griffey and some others as well. But he took the long road. I mean, he worked at failed minor league baseball teams doing play-by-play. He eventually caught on with, I think, WFAN and did some Jets reporting, worked at SNY around their baseball coverage, and then jumped over and started working for Fox because he wanted to do football. That was sort of his passion, is he wanted to do the NFL. And man, has it ever worked out for him. I mean, to climb the ranks of their broadcasting groups, and eventually when Joe Buck leaves and they had that weird shift and shuffle a couple of years ago with all the play-by-play guys going to different places, he was in the exact right spot at the right time. And I thought he totally took advantage of it and brought out a little bit more of his personality once he became the number one guy, and really did a good job. So I'm curious to see what that'll look like with Tom Brady. Because what is interesting to me there is, of all of the top play-by-play guys, Burkhardt's the smallest name right now, right? He's not Al Michaels. Mike Tirico's been doing it forever, right? Jim Nantz been doing it forever. There's going to be some turnover in the next couple of years as a few of those guys probably move on. But today, of all the like major number one guys at any of the networks, he's probably the smallest name. But he's about to be paired with the biggest one, right? He's about to be paired with Tom Brady. And maybe that's how it works best. Maybe you can't have an Al Michaels with a Tom Brady, right? Maybe you can't. Maybe that's too much. Maybe you can't have two names of that size
Both
together.
Their shadows are too big.
Jim Nance and Tony Romo.
Yeah, that's it. Well, and quite frankly, it's terrible.
Your favorite.
It's terrible. I mean, Romo just screaming into the ether. But maybe it is better to have somebody who isn't going to necessarily steal Brady's shadow, or more appropriately, somebody who Brady's not going to come in and kind of usurp what was already there, right? He's a little bit more of a blank canvas, certainly, than Al Michaels is.
Yeah, totally. Now Michaels has called how many years of Tom Brady games versus how many years of Burkhardt.
That would have been so strange, by the way. So yeah, that'll be the new pairing, Kevin Burkhardt and Tom Brady, and we'll look forward to seeing what that looks like. Are you guys? Are you surprised to see Geno not in the top 18?
Yes. I mean, at least the receiving votes category, like that final category where, they got a few votes. I'm surprised he wasn't in that. That had Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
He's not among them.
No. Apparently not.
I was surprised
not according to Geno. Now, I don't know entirely how the voting gets done. I don't know whether there's, okay, who are your top 10? And everybody lists their top 10. And like a couple of people think Kyler is so athletic that they keep him in their top 10. A couple of people were so enamored still with, Baker Mayfield and his, number one overall pick, et cetera, that he gets a vote for the top 10. And so that, and it's hard to look at Geno and say that's a top 10 quarterback. I don't think anybody thinks that. But do they think that about Brock Purdy? He was there in the honorable mentions. So
was Trevor Lawrence. I don't think
anybody thinks
even though he got
that
huge payday.
Top 10? Yeah. Top 10 quarterback?
And honestly, I'm starting to be with you on Justin Herbert because you've always talked about him being overhyped. I still think there's some potential there.
Sure.
But for what he's shown so far, they had him at number 7. I do not think he's a top 7.
That feels high. It felt high for Stafford, too, who was in the top 7 or 8, something like that. Yeah, Herbert's an interesting one more. I'm glad you bring him up. I do think he's been overhyped, but I'm not convinced he's bad, if that makes sense. There are some quarterbacks who, after a time, I'm like, yeah, this guy just stinks. Stop pretending that he's going to be good. I don't know what Justin Herbert is because that's San Diego. The Chargers team has been so kind of hard to figure out over the years.
And he played like one entire season, I think, with like punctured ribs or something. He really toughed it out.
I do want to see what he looks like with Jim Harbaugh. And I think that after this year, it'll be a lot more fair to kind of judge Justin Herbert and have a better sense as to who he is. But, at some point you got to win big games. That's the gig when you're a big time NFL starting quarterback. And Geno hasn't really done that either. Now, it's been 2 seasons and he hasn't had that many opportunities. I just think most of those executives are probably looking at that, looking at Geno and just saying, yeah, he's good with the right people around him. But he's not making a lot of people better. He's not taking the people around them and making them better than they already are. I don't know if they see that apparently with Kyler Murray, apparently with Brock Purdy. I don't know whether I see those things necessarily, certainly with Kyler, but maybe with Purdy. But is Purdy better than Geno? Yeah, I think right now you would have to say yes. I don't know if he's more talented than Geno, arm talent and all that, but is he better? Yeah, right now he is. Is Kyler? That one I struggle with a little bit. But some of the other guys that we've compared to Geno, like Jared Goff, well, right now, I mean, Detroit is humming, and he's got them as a Super Bowl contender, and he's playing the best football of his career. Right now, is Jared Goff better than Geno? Yeah, he is. Like, there weren't a lot of guys on the list other than Kyler, who I just think very little of, that I thought to myself, oh, come on, Geno's much better than that. And it's interesting, after all these years of looking at these offseason lists and saying, God, Russell's underrated. Why isn't Russell higher? Russell should be higher than he is. And, those were complaints about, like, why is he number 9 instead of number 4? This is like, should this guy even be on the list?
Who are the votes coming from here?
These are executives,
okay,
coaches, and scouts.
And so many of them had probably worked with and maybe coached or had dealings with Geno in the past and maybe didn't like him. And
that's certainly possible. I mean, I don't know. How many people would he have come across, though? I mean, yeah, he
4
played
teams.
Yeah, all right. So yeah, some of them, but most of those were a while ago, right? I mean, yeah, some of it could be personal. You're right. And the young Geno, who wasn't necessarily as mature as he is now, because he's super mature now, blocking people on Twitter who said mean things about him as a quarterback.
Oh, man.
Super mature. I mean, that's like the height of maturity. Yeah, and
it's possible.
It's possible.
There's a lot of people who didn't believe in Geno. And
Or
I'm
maybe
guessing
they
some
just
of them
look
were
at it and
coaches,
say, this
GMs,
guy
and
isn't a
scouts.
franchise quarterback, and he's not in the top 10, and the Seahawks are going to win 7.5 games this year, partially because of it. I don't know. That's just me. Brock is in next. We've got a lot to discuss today, leading up to A-Rod at 8:30. Stick around. It's Brock and Salk, Seattle Sports on 710.
Get the national perspective on the Mariners.
Swing and a miss and a slider, strike 3.
With Jeff Passan, Tuesday mornings at 8:30.
I don't think that it is unrealistic to believe that they have the talent and the ability to win a championship with this team.
And John Morosi, Thursdays at 5 p.m.
Their DNA remains intact. This is a rotation-dependent team.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Mariners.
Paid political announcement. A Bob for Bob update on car tabs. Did you know Bob Ferguson sued and overturned the $30 car tab initiative passed by 53% of Washington voters? Beware of Bob not listening to the will of Washington when we disagree. Do you want a governor who sues to stop an initiative passed by more than 50% of the state? Well, then we have the candidate for you. Vote Bob. Well, because Bob Ferguson wants it. Paid for by the Bob for Bob Committee, 1283 Puyallup, Washington 98371. Top 4 donors: Steve Gordon, Fremont Dock Company, Brian Haywood, and Susie Burke.
Lexus is electrified, and the first ever RZ450E has the performance and range to get you where you need to go. With the exclusive Lexus Direct 4 all-wheel drive technology, Lexus of Bellevue has over 50 RZs available for immediate delivery with electrifying savings. Up to $18,500 lease cash on every RZ450E. Visit LexusofBellevue.com.
On approval of credit through LFS, lease cash from Lexus available on select 2024 RZ styles. Must take delivery by July 31st, 2024. A documentary service fee up to $200 may be added to the purchase price or capitalized costs. See dealership for details.
Ooh, ma. What was that? That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud Phone System. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs.
You sound very...
Calm? I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Nice. Find your business comm at ooma.com/radio.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer, he hears things differently. To the untrained ear, everything on his shop floor might sound fine, but he can hear gears grinding or a belt slipping. So he steps in to fix the problem at hand before it gets out of hand. And he knows Grainger's got the right product he needs to get the job done, which is music to his ears. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Can't fix everything for everybody, but you can be there and listen and try to help with what you can. You're there to support them, and that's the best that you can do.
It's this commitment, this philosophy that represents the LJ way.
This is my life. This is my family's life. The people that work here, they're my family. When something's not right with them, it's not right with us. My wife and 3 kids in the house, there's always something wrong with somebody at all times. And if there isn't, then something's wrong. When you have 388 employees, there's never a day that everything is good everywhere. You have to be okay with that. You have to look at that as opportunities to gain a better relationship with people and help them through what they're going through.
The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto family.
For generations, Shane Company has had a passion for gemstones. We've worked with the same diamond sources who reserve the best rough stones just for us. Once cut and polished, we take our time to handpick the best of the best. We're known for our rainbow of colors, 16 different shades of natural sapphires. At Shane Company, we truly obsess over cutting each stone to reveal its richest color and vibrancy. And we'll continue to source the most beautiful gemstones on earth so that you can always shine bright. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
July is Vehicle Theft Prevention Month. The Puget Sound Auto Theft Task Force, in cooperation with the International Auto Theft Investigators Association, asks you to help prevent vehicle theft and stop auto fraud. Lock your doors, use anti-theft devices, and don't leave titles or important documents in your vehicle. Install immobilization devices such as ignition or fuel disablers. Never leave keys or fobs in your vehicle, and never leave your vehicle running unattended. Paid for by the Washington Auto Theft Prevention Authority.
This radio commercial was made to convince you to stop speeding. We can't use siren sound effects on the radio, so we'll use other equally jarring sound effects to get your attention. Like telling you that whether you drive a little over the speed limit or a lot, you can crash just the same. You could hurt yourself or worse, others.
I'm at the scene of the collision.
And the damage you cause will be beyond repair. See? We didn't have to use crash or siren sounds after all. Speeding catches up with you. Brought to you by NHTSA.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Give me a freaking auto!
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Brock and Salk on Seattle Sports.
Brock Heward and Marcus. Sorry about just Mike.
Presented by Simply Seattle.
Heward, not exactly Joe Cap there in the pocket.
Now here are your hosts, Brock Heward and Mike Salk.
Yeah, how about that, Brock? The new Quantum Fiber Studio. I should mention that to everybody. Huge thanks to Lumen and Quantum Fibers. They are our new studio naming rights sponsor. How about that?
So now I can be faster? Faster!
Hey, Brock, faster! Yeah, how about that?
Nice. I love it.
I know, pretty
love
cool.
It.
Yeah, we got some pens here. We got some quantum fiber mugs and stuff.
You mentioned the golf balls that you're probably
golf balls. Yeah, there's some Strixons over there. Yeah, I could see those getting lost by this weekend. So yeah, there's thanks to all of everybody over at Quantum Fiber and at Lumen for the new partnership.
Golf was about just hunting for so many of your balls.
Yeah, it's definitely a big part of it. Pretty sure it went out over by that bush. No, it was by that tree. Yeah, how about the Derby last night, Brock? You want to start with the Derby? You want to start with Jazz Chisholm? Where would you like to begin today?
You want to start with what I did at 10:30 in bed last night?
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
No, next. I do not.
Why don't we save that for 8 a.m.? Because it fits your 8 a.m. segment perfectly. Okay. Yes, there was something I did that I don't think you could ever guess.
At that centaur picture of yourself that you had made?
Something I did at 10:30 at night that kept me up for a good hour and a half. So
okay, that's not what I was thinking. That only would have been a couple of minutes. So
Anywho, I did dig around on this Bahamian by the name of Jazz, trying to figure his story out a little bit more. Why there are some that think that, boy, he'd be a neat little spark. Nice little fit, talented kind of kid.
There are some folks. Craig Mish, who covers the Marlins and works for MLB Network, was on with Bump and Stacy yesterday, and he said exactly that. This guy would be a great fit here.
The Mariners definitely, have some interest in Jazz, but to say, at least in my opinion, to say that it's like a guarantee, I think that goes too far for me. Just based on my intel, I think that several teams will be interested in him. But yeah, look, it definitely fills a need for the Mariners, and you could check some boxes there with his ability to play the outfield, his ability to play the infield, and in my opinion, the Mariners are one of those teams. Now, again, what they do, I don't know, but that's one team that should not be sitting pat at the deadline. The fans really deserve a run here, I think, from that organization. It's been a while since they've gone deep into the playoffs, and the pitching is just too good, I think, to sit back. So they do match up well. There are some prospects, I think, that would fit Miami, and I think Jazz would fit in well in Seattle, and I do think that there's certainly some legs to this, but we got still a lot. I know the deadline is a couple of weeks away, but 2 weeks away is like an eternity in the deadline in baseball.
We do this when we talk about John Schneider's drafts, as we kind of lead into them, build into them, talk about the guys after the fact and go, oh, okay, and that makes some sense. Understand some of that. Even in some of those years, Salk, where it was a pick that nobody even knew, after the pick was made, you started to dig into the bio, and you're like, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense. Jazz Chisholm checks a bunch of these boxes that over 8 years, when you look at the kind of prospect, the kind of guy, the kind of club control, the kind of athlete, the kind of stuff that I think Jerry and Justin are looking at to add to this pitching, Jazz Chisholm does make some sense. And I think that's probably why they are talking. And, you know, the dude's got some pop. The dude has an edge. The dude's got tremendous, tremendous speed. And he can play a position of need for you that's been a position of need for a long time, for the entirety of this regime.
And
really.
he would do it for 2.5 years if you were to trade for him now.
And he's 26.
Yep.
You know, so absolute prime of his career. You get him from 25 to 30 that I think in time is going to be shown to be a whole bunch more of what the prime of a Major League Baseball player is, rather than 30 to 35. But there's, you know, you dig into the numbers then. Okay, so all of that makes sense. Okay, so now let me see the production. Stress fracture in his back. Turf toe ends the season early. Not a great on-base guy, controlled the zone. I guess didn't strike out nearly as much as a lot of your roster does, but you just kind of start to do and look at the rest of the numbers of what kind of impact can he make. Then it becomes to me like, well, you better not give up too much to get this guy in return.
Well, that's kind of where I was at. I just looking at the numbers, they really don't blow you away. He's a league average bat. Like, exactly. If you're looking at OPS, which again, I feel like is a very handy, easy catch-all view of who a player is, and then OPS plus, which will take you, will allow you to kind of compare everyone's OPS in the league. 100 is league average. Anything above it is better. Anything below it is worse. Guess where he is? 100, dead even. He is a league average hitter. He's athletic. As you mentioned, he's only played more than 100 games once in his 4 years, plus once. He had a fifth year, but that was like his call-up year where he just kind of came up for part of the year. But since then, he played 121 and then has never played more than 90 games in his 98 games in a season. Low on-base percentage.
Yep.
I don't see how he is a great fit for this roster.
Could he be the guy and somebody? Like when we talk about just a guy with some experience, with some juice, with some speed, put him at the top of the lineup, so JP doesn't have to be the top of the lineup guy and carry that weight that I think has been a challenge.
I'm against the idea of bringing in Jazz Chisholm.
And he plays second, right?
He can play second. He could play short if ultimately that's where you wanted him to be. He could play the outfield. He can run around. I mean, if it was Jazz Chisholm and Brent Rooker, is that enough? Does that change your offense enough in the second half if Julio also kind of gets hot? Maybe that's enough. It doesn't feel automatic like, oh, okay, now you're rolling. You've brought in Jazz Chisholm, you brought in Brent Rooker. That's what this team needs. But what if Vlad doesn't get traded? What if Alonso doesn't get traded?
What if Luis Robert has such a market, and because you're really not going to get the most out of that value,
somebody gives him just an absurd, or maybe he doesn't get traded because the White Sox don't think they can get the most value for him right now. What if Christian Walker doesn't get traded, or any of the Diamondbacks, because they're not right far enough out of it. They're right back in it. What if no one on the Giants gets traded?
Right.
I mean, like it's really not impossible that none of these guys end up going anywhere.
Yeah. And that's 2 weeks from tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. I mean, kudos to Major League Baseball to put their draft right around the All-Star game, right? To really, hamstring this whole process so you get, like
2 weeks of people talking about it.
It just makes no sense. Some of these things in baseball make absolutely no sense. Step back, have a competition committee like the NFL does when they realize, you know what, this doesn't make any sense. You know what, you're right. This doesn't make any sense. Why are we doing this? Well, we've always done it this way. Well, this isn't the right way. I mean, this is hurting our game and hurting our product and hurting our team's abilities to – so, it's just crazy. Just crazy cakes. So does Jazz Chisholm move the needle?
No.
He
does not move the needle. Doesn't make it a bad idea to bring him in, depending on what you're giving up. But does he move the needle? No. I heard another name this weekend. Justin, your buddy Dunk, gave me a name that I didn't know a lot about, so I looked him up.
By the way, are you trying to get in the way of Justin's?
He's stealing my golf friends. It's cool.
What's happening here, Barnes? I don't know if I like this too
I'm
much.
okay with it. I like the Venn diagrams overlapping, and you have more time to hang out with each other.
What's his name? Dunk?
I asked
Brent,
Justin if he wanted to play golf on Sunday. Justin said, no, I'm not available.
I have that thing. And I was like, well, wait, Dunk will probably go. You brought it up on your own, Salk. I didn't even offer.
That's true.
Okay.
So he is
true.
trying.
Yeah, I'm trying to steal your friends. Nico Horner's 27 years old, plays for the Cubs. You have any interest in Nico Horner?
Horner.
He is a career OPS plus guy of 97. This year it's a little down at 93, but he does get on base. I mean, look at it, 338 on base percentage for his career. He's right around that this year. Is that perfect? No. Would it be an improvement? I suppose so. I mean, that's not a name, again, that's going to get me particularly excited, but he's a 1.5. He's got a higher WAR this year than Jazz Chisholm does.
Right. At 1.5.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not Vlad. It's not Robert. It's not the name that would just spark. It's not Pete Alonso. It's not, right. I mean, it's just not. It's not even name recognition for fans. Not even name recognition.
It's impact.
It's impact.
Yeah.
It's impact on that opposing pitcher. You put those two guys, okay, you put Chisholm and Rooker in the lineup. Do the opposing pitchers now have to work around some things? Do they have to think about a few things? Sure, Rooker's been amazing this year, and I'd have no problem with that. But is that the kind of threat, the kind of pressure, the kind of impact that we've been talking about?
Well, you have been talking about wanting more athleticism, and certainly getting Jazz into the lineup would give you more athleticism. In a game that is increasingly looking to be more athletic, does he provide more value? Yes, if he can get on base. But if he can't get on base, that's not going to work. And is there some history of guys coming here and the Mariners helping them improve their batting numbers that I'm unaware of? Pitching, I know all about that. I'm not quite as familiar with all of the legions of players that have come here and the Mariners made one little tweak and all of a sudden they took off from a batting perspective. So anyway, we'll see where this goes. But that is sort of the hot name in discussion today, Jazz Chisholm from the Marlins. Come right back with everything you need to know, including the sweetest smelling winner of the Home Run Derby that ever was. It's next on Brock and Salk.
The Dugout. Go in depth with the Mariners.
Goodbye, baseball.
With voices like Rick Riz, Aaron Goldsmith, and Dave Sims.
This is a club that has the ability to go on another run. You never know when a team is going to get hot.
This team's window is wide open.
Hear from the players and coaches, and go behind the scenes with insider Shannon Dreyer.
We are seeing him comfortable with where he is at the plate. We're seeing a guy that has his timing.
The Dugout. Tuesdays at 1 p.m. on Seattle Sports.
All right, guys, let's talk summer because we are in this stretch of 80-plus degree days, and they have just been awesome. I know you got awesome plans yourself for vacations and road trips and just seeing the whole area, right? Well, don't be limited by how you look or certainly how you feel. You know how I went on Eastside Weight Loss Clinic. I lost 35 pounds on their plan. The results were certainly incredible, and I've just been really happy with my life and my energy and how it improved at the time. I want to help you with the same thing. Eastside Weight Loss Clinic is looking for 710 listeners this summer, and all they want them to do is schedule a 15-minute no-obligation consultation at eastsideweightlossclinic.com. That's worth it, right? Safe, healthy, sustainable weight loss without pills, injections, or surgery, where you're eating real food, you're losing real weight, and you can look and feel your very best. Yeah, that feeling can be yours as soon as right now. What's the secret? Call Eastside Weight Loss Clinic. They'll help you. 425-588-0080 or eastsideweightlossclinic.com. Dr. Ryan Coogan, D.C. Results may vary.
Hey everyone, Tom Nelson for Cressy Door. Since 1952, we've been installing garage doors for your home, building, or dealership. If you need Cressy Door service or a whole new set of doors, visit our friends at Cressy Door. Make your next garage door a Cressy Door.
I don't want to dig up my yard if I don't have to. That's why I hired O'Neill Plumbing. They're Seattle's trenchless plumbing pros. All rooter, all trenchless, always professional. O'Neill Plumbing since 1917.
X marks the spot. Now through September 21st, get 150 megabit Xfinity internet for 12 months with a 1-year contract for just $15 a month. You can add the new Stream Saver that includes Peacock, Apple TV Plus, and Netflix. That's Xfinity internet and Stream Saver for just $35 a month. All of your favorites, all in one place, only from my friends at Xfinity. So go ahead and binge some shows, stream some movies, and save some money all at the same time. For more watching and less sending, X marks the spot. Switch to Xfinity, the network made for streaming, and bring on the good stuff. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or go visit a local store today. Restrictions do apply. Internet offer requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Equipment taxes and fees extra after promo regular rates apply. Currently $54 a month. Actual speeds vary. Stream Saver requires Xfinity Internet or TV, and price subject to change. So make the call to 1-800-XFINITY.
So I formed Davis Law Group about 30 years ago, and I would get, the same questions from people about what to do in the case of an accident. Do you need a lawyer? To the point where I decided that I would at least write a book which would answer the common questions that I would receive as a lawyer. Once I wrote my first book, it proved to be hugely popular. I decided to write then a series of books in different accident cases so that we could really teach people about their rights, how to protect them, and how to decide on whether they need a lawyer and what lawyer to hire. I've found in my career that having a client that is educated and knowledgeable about their particular type of case really helps the client and also usually ends up making the case or the claim more successful. To get your free copy of any of my Washington accident books, visit WashingtonAccidentBooks.com.
Subscribe to the Seattle Sports YouTube page to find new and exclusive content from your favorite shows and personalities daily. Just head to YouTube, search Seattle Sports, and click subscribe.
Almost everyone knows that Wild Wheat Bakery in Kent is a great spot for your favorite coffee drinks. With beans from around the world, roasted to perfection right on site. Handmade artisan bread and pastries, and mouth-watering breakfasts. But did you know Wild Wheat Bakery is now serving lunch? Delicious salads, pasta, burgers, and more. Come in today and enjoy our stylish dining room with family and friends. Wild Wheat Bakery in Kent. So much to discover.
When you buy tires at Les Schwab, you're getting more than just tires. You're getting America's best tire warranty, 60-day satisfaction guarantee, no hassle road hazard protection, and free maintenance for the life of your tires. Other places make you pay extra for that, but at Les Schwab, it's included with every set of tires because more warranty means less worry, and nobody stands by their tires like Les Schwab. Get more from Les. Book your appointment at leschwab.com. Terms and conditions apply. See leschwab.com for details.
Roof now, pay later. Hi, I'm Sam Thomason, owner of State Roofing. Take advantage of our zero down, zero payments, and zero interest for up to a year. We've partnered with leading lenders to make the replacement or repair of your roof affordable. Flexible financing options are available to take the worry out of an unexpected expense. Call us today at 866-ROOF-ROOF to schedule a free no-obligation estimate or visit us at stateroofing.com. That's stateroofing.com.
State Roofing, the last roof you'll ever need.
Scotland comes to the Pacific Northwest during the weekend of July 27th and 28th with the 77th Annual Pacific Northwest Scottish Highland Games and Clan Gathering at the Expo Center in Enumclaw. Competitive, colorful pipe bands and drummers from Washington, Oregon, and British Columbia will be featured alongside field events, some to include the popular caber toss and hammer throw. Traditional Scottish foods and gathering tents are also part of this festive weekend. For more information, go to www.sshga.org.
Need to know.
15 minutes past every hour with Brock and Salk.
Here's what you need to know. Up first.
Well, Brock, you can always find a way to be mad, certainly if you're looking to be. The final pairing of the Home Run Derby, it would have given you some opportunity for sure. It was the kid who you just told me had passed Julio, at least for this year. Bobby Witt Jr. taking on the guy who didn't hit enough last season as a Mariner, but now has 19 home runs in Los Angeles, Teoscar Hernandez. And it was all said and done, it was Teo who emerged as the winner.
Teoscar Hernandez is your 2024 T-Mobile Home Run Derby champ. What a show Bobby Witt Jr. and Teoscar Hernandez put on in this final round.
Bobby Witt came up just a couple of feet short of tying him on that final home run ball, but didn't quite make it. It was fun.
Unreal.
It was entertaining.
It was good. It was good. You know what okay, so baseball doesn't get the draft right? It doesn't get the timing of many things right. It doesn't get this slot money thing that nobody, even the hardcore fans, can hardly understand when it comes to the draft. So there's no moving the picks or trading the picks largely. But I'll tell you what they do get right. They get that home run derby right, and they get the All-Star game right. Because you see guys take pride in it. Nobody wants to play in the NFL Pro Bowl. Nobody wants to play in the NBA All-Star game. Right. Teoscar Hernandez wanted to do the home run derby. He wanted to win that sucker, in the joy, the competition, the fun of all of it.
He's got a great
It
smile
resonated
too,
last night.
He's got a great. He just was a great dude. I really enjoyed him last year. Yeah, they got most of it right. I don't know about the anthem performance. That's going to do it for me. Thank you, Ingrid Andress, but that's all I've got. I can't listen anymore.
What?
Yeah, I can do that.
Bro, when Mora's got a problem with something. When Mora's got a problem with something, it's bad.
I think I do vent the least in our text thread.
Oh, you do?
And I immediately texted you guys.
You do. Okay, Justin, you're the hipster. What was that?
Hipster? She's a country singer.
She's a country singer.
She's what?
She's a country singer.
Yeah.
That's your world. You and Justin. You guys tell me more about Ingrid Andress.
I'd never heard of her.
So you say now you're denying your association with her as a country singer. Not impressive, guys.
Here's the second thing you need to know.
We often talk about pitchers and catchers, Brock. They report early, as you know, for spring training. And for the first, 9 rounds of the draft, the Mariners took all pitchers plus 1 catcher, and then a guy who pitches and catches, though presumably not at the same time. That would be hard. He seems like more of a catcher, so maybe they're thinking about life with 2 catchers here after Harry Ford, if he does get dealt, and knowing that Cal Raleigh could elect free agency in a couple of years, so maybe they're planning ahead. I did notice this one. Did you catch the name Brock Moore in the 7th round out of Oregon?
Mm-hmm.
You read anything about Brock Moore?
Well, I've caught the fact that there's a lot more Brocks out there.
There are a lot more Brocks.
20
that's
years
true.
later, I mean, there's a lot more Brocks. Not like Peyton's in Tennessee, but there's a lot more Brocks out there.
Well, he's 24. He's 6'6", 220, big dude. Not very successful at college. He had an ERA of 5.81 and a whip of 1.548.
You pitch in the altitude in Eugene, Oregon. Okay, the dry air in the altitude. Not easy to pitch there.
Maybe that's true, but wow, 31 innings, 17 appearances. Doesn't scream major leaguer. You know what it screams? Brian Wu and Logan Evans, 2 guys the Mariners took who didn't do jack squat in college, who have turned themselves into, obviously, a wonderful major leaguer and a guy who's on his way there sooner rather than later.
Yeah, you know what this draft through 10 picks screams? Double down on your strength. And in a time right now where your system is so flush with positional players,
right. It screams more
and
that
so
to me.
barren with pitchers, you needed to load up, and man, have they in these first 3 rounds.
Here's the third thing you need to know.
Well, if you thought Geno Smith might make ESPN's list of top 10 quarterbacks, you were wrong, because he was not in their top 10, not one of the 6 honorable mentions, nor one of the other 2 receiving votes. So, on this list compiled by coaches, executives, scouts, not in the top 18. Matt Stafford was in the top 10, Brock Purdy, the top honorable mention, and even Kyler Murray was receiving votes. But Seahawks quarterback does not appear here on this list.
We'll hit
Fair
on that.
or unfair?
Well, we'll hit on this in a little more detail in Blue 88. I think pretty darn ludicrous, to be honest with you.
Really?
I do. From a guy that was comeback player of the year, led his team to the playoffs, 9 wins, shatters franchise records, got very, very little help in front of him. I mean, that's been pretty well documented the last couple of years, and you've seen that with player movement. You've seen that with any metrics you want from protection in front of them. Game-winning drives, the end of it, year 1, that was question mark. Year 2, check that box. Like, especially the Kyler Murray. I mean, that's just patently absurd.
Yeah, Kyler Murray is a bad one, but, I mean, this wasn't fan vote. This was executives and coaches and scouts and people that are watching the film. They apparently were not too impressed. Seahawks rookie's going to report for training camp tomorrow. Veterans right around the corner next week. That is everything you need to know. 1/4 every hour here on the Brock and Salk Show.
Who was it? Chris Stapleton did the anthem last year at the Super Bowl?
Yeah, he did a good job. That was great.
What genre is he?
I've never heard him play. What does he sing?
What genre is he, hipster?
Is this him?
No, don't do it.
Oh, say that it stars sing it.
I recognize this part. Well, less so.
For the land
is not a note that any professional singer should hit.
Was Avery watching this live?
No, thankfully, no. She was at singing lessons.
Brock, some people would say outlaw country, some rock and blues, but country.
She is?
No.
Chris
I don't know about her. I've
Chris
never heard.
Stapleton,
Yeah, Chris Stapleton. Yeah.
Well, what is she? Tell me more about Ingrid Andress.
She's got to be just
straight out of Libby, Montana, I'm told.
No, she's not.
I'm told she is.
She is from the Midwest, I think, Missouri.
Texter said Highlands Ranch, Colorado, bro.
No, absolutely not.
Is that true?
No.
Are you sure?
Pretty positive of that.
How
yeah.
are you positive? What do you know?
Are you really doing this? Is this your just Machiavellian
She's from
ways,
Michigan.
Salk?
She's from Michigan.
Is this your brilliant Machiavellian ways of going from Puyallup to Paulsbo, from Spokane to Seattle, to tee up our next guest? Is this what you're doing right now?
I mean, there are very few people who know all of the various towns in Western Washington, Eastern Washington, Central Washington, North, South, heck, halfway to Oregon, than Chris Eagan, who will be on his way to beautiful Paris in just a couple of days to cover the Olympics for King 5 and like 16 other stations as well. So we'll hear from Chris and get a sense as to what he's up to next. Remember, A-Rod, an hour from now, it's Brock and Salk, Seattle Sports on 710.
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy.
Stacy, we just talked to Trevor Sikkema about the best offseason move for the Seahawks, and he had Mike Macdonald hire as that. But what was the best offseason move for Seattle outside of that hire?
I would have chosen Mike Macdonald as well. My second best would just be continuing to address the trenches, particularly the defensive line, which they did in the draft at number 16, taking Byron Murphy. I think that outside of hiring Mike Macdonald, focusing on their needs and then actually doing something about it was, I think, the best move that they made.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Hey, Mike Salk here. Do you know what Snoqualmie Casino has going on? Because the expansion is happening, a multi-phase expansion, which includes a new hotel. Yes, a new hotel finally at Snoqualmie, plus the expanded gaming floor, destination spa, a 2,000-seat entertainment and convention center, new parking structure, and then 2 signature restaurants with a third to open later. All of this is opening early next year, early 2025. So you know Snoqualmie is never resting on its laurels, always getting better. It's why it is my spot, only 30 minutes from downtown. You can find them online at snocasino.com, Seattle's closest Snoqualmie Casino.
Hey, it's Dave Wyman speaking to those who have recently been diagnosed with prostate cancer. I spoke with Dr. Meyer, the medical director of the Swedish Radiosurgery Center, and Dr. Meyer said Swedish CyberKnife patients are really satisfied with their experience. They report very few side effects, and they're seeing excellent cancer control 10 years later. To learn more about CyberKnife for prostate cancer, go to swedish.org/cyberknifeprostate or call 206-320-7187. Treat prostate cancer with Swedish CyberKnife.
I started Davis Law Group 30 years ago with the goal of bringing the highest quality of legal representation to accident victims. Seattle has changed a lot in that time, and the needs of drivers and accident victims have grown. I'm happy to say that we have too. We've expanded our team to take on the biggest challenges for accident victims across the state. Contact Washington's best personal injury team today at 206-888-8888 or visit us online at davislawgroupseattle.com.
Hey everyone, Jaden Schwartz for Techline Roofing. If your summer list includes 18 holes and a new roof, give Techline a call and we'll come out for a free inspection. Trust Techline. They shoot from the tips.
Summer's here and it's time for you to put yourself in the game. But you don't have to do it alone. Come visit the incredible showroom and the all-star team at Toyota of Kirkland. With a large selection of over 70 brand new Tundras and Tacomas on the lot, you'll be able to test drive one and take it home the same day. And don't forget about that lifetime powertrain warranty. Now that's how you become the MVP. Come in today or visit online at toyotaofkirkland.com. toyotaofkirkland.com.
Hey, it's Amanda. Ditch the glasses and contacts and see life better with King LASIK. It's quick, painless, and you could be seeing 20/20 the very next day. Plus, this month you'll save $1,000. Start with a free Zoom consult at kinglasik.com.
July is Vehicle Theft Prevention Month. The Puget Sound Auto Theft Task Force, in cooperation with the International Auto Theft Investigators Association, asks you to help prevent vehicle theft and stop auto fraud. Lock your doors, use anti-theft devices, and don't leave titles or important documents in your vehicle. Install immobilization devices such as ignition or fuel disablers. Never leave keys or fobs in your vehicle, and never leave your vehicle running unattended. Paid for by the Washington Auto Theft Prevention Authority.
The Mariners are all about giving you more baseball for your buck. Snag seats for as little as $10 on select dates all season long with Mariners Value Games. Plus, be sure to check out the Mariners Value Menu, available at every game and featuring 11 items priced from $2.50 to $4. Enjoy ballpark classics like hot dogs and peanuts, new treats like churros and chocolate chip cookies, and more. To get your value game tickets and check out all the value options at T-Mobile Park, go to mariners.com/value.
You want to talk about this, Park? You really want to do this?
I do.
You really want to get into this?
Yeah, I got some questions.
All right. Well, I got answers.
The Brock and Salk Show is brought to you every day by Simply Seattle.
Discover the ultimate diamond buying experience. Unparalleled quality at unbeatable prices.
Hi, I'm Diamond Dave of Cantor Diamond. At our by appointment office, you'll receive truly personalized one-on-one service to your needs.
No high overhead of standalone stores or mall hours to pay for. We're direct diamond importers designing and manufacturing in-house, eliminating all the middlemen.
Stop overpaying at retail and enjoy serious savings on quality diamonds.
From the first consult to the final reveal, we guide you through every step, ensuring you get your dream diamond ring, necklace, or earrings without compromise.
Romantic proposals, anniversary splurges, or just because. Indulge in diamonds for less.
Call today for your private appointment for a dazzling diamond.
Call Diamond Dave at 253-272-7007. That's 253-272-7007. Or follow them on Instagram at Cantor Diamond. That's at KANTOR Diamond.
This might be the most surprising statistic I've shared in decades of doing local news. More than 75% of commuters will be involved in a car accident at some point. JP Pendergast of Pendergast Law with more.
What makes it more surprising? The average person will be involved in 3 to 4 collisions in their lifetime.
With accidents unbelievably prevalent, what are some safety tips if it happens to you?
Safety first. Secondary collisions are not uncommon while awaiting help. Turn on those hazards and remain in a safe place. If a bystander witnessed the accident, capture their information and encourage them to remain at the scene. Seek medical attention immediately if needed, as delaying can be a costly mistake. Lastly, remember that statements made to police and insurance adjusters can affect your case.
Collisions are more common than we'd like to think. If you find yourself in one, follow these helpful tips and then call my friends at Pendergast Law.
If you or a loved one's injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
PendergastLaw.com.
This hour of the Brock and Salk Show is powered by Star Rentals, preferred supplier to the West's best contractors.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Brock and Salk.
Weekdays 6 to 10.
On Seattle Sports at 97.3 FM HD2.
Quite the week we've got. Alex Rodriguez will join us in an hour. Jerry DiPoto tomorrow at 8:30. Jeff Passan Thursday at 8:30, and then of course G. Scott Friday at 8:30. So if that's your time to listen, you're going to be in luck. And if it's not, then make sure you what?
You really putting G on that list?
I'm just saying who was on at 8:30.
DiPoto and Passan and A-Rod.
I'm not saying he belongs necessarily in that exalted sphere.
All right.
Just that he'll also be on at 8:30.
Just laying out the facts.
Just laying out the facts. All right. And 7:30 is no slouch either. I mean, we looked far and wide to find a guest that could
from
live
Elma
up.
to Ephrata.
Yeah. Where else did we look?
Really, from Pullman to this guy's hometown in Puyallup, right outside of PL. We also took a little look. Yeah. From, I'm not as good as
You're not as good as he is.
No,
well, then let Chris Eagan himself do it. From King 5, Olympic sojourner Chris Eagan joining us now. Chris, hello.
Oh, Mike, Salk, Brock, Hewart, it is so good to hear you. And the sun is out. The deer are prancing around right now in Puyallup. There's eagles flying above. I mean, it's the greatest city on the planet right now, the biggest city in the world that begins and ends with a P. Good morning, everybody from Puyallup, Washington.
The land of friendly people, I'm told.
Yes, Brock will use that line quite often. Yes, he will, Mike.
Well, I'm just a big Ezra Meeker fan, as you know, Chris. I've learned a lot about Ezra over the years.
Sure you have.
Yeah, no, I'm a big Ezra guy. And so, yeah, I've been to Puyallup, I think, 2 or 3 times in 15 years. I think I've...
Just the fact, Mike, that you're able to throw Ezra Meeker out in a sentence is absolutely amazing to me. I recommend highly to take the kids to the Meeker Mansion whenever you get a chance. During your summer vacation. I'm sure they'd love it. So, yeah.
How does the Prince of Puyallup prepare himself for Paris?
Every day is a different challenge, and the Olympics are this will be, I think, my 5th Olympic Games, 3rd one going to, and it's just, I love it. There's nothing like it. I still think number one in my, as I look back at my 23 years at King 5, number one is obviously Seahawks winning a Super Bowl. But the Olympics is just, it's special because it's 22, 23 days in a row, and every day is just a different journey. And then it's the journey to get to these Olympic Games, which you realize is absolutely insane for these athletes. I mean, they give everything, pretty much train 6 to 7 days a week, their whole life. Many of them, go away to training facilities. Many of them miss a lot of birthday parties, a lot of family events, and a lot of them don't make it. This year, the state of Washington, Mike and Brock, is representing 70 athletes, coaches with ties to the state of Washington will be heading to Paris, which is just an absolutely huge number. 16 of them grew up in the state of Washington. 34, this is absolutely, Brock's going to get a little excited here. 34 went to the University of Washington, either as a student or as a student athlete. A lot coming from the crew world there, the track and field world there. 7 to Washington State, 5 to Gonzaga. And there's going to be a couple alternates as well. There's a young gal from Bellevue who's 4th on the archery team, and she's standing by. If somebody gets injured, she's off to Paris. So it's going to be a fun ride for sure.
70 athletes, you said, from the state of Washington. Is that a higher or lower number than the number of stations you're working for while you're over there?
I think it'll be about 70. Well, honestly, Mike, that's the tough part, is that I have to kind of focus on where these athletes are every day, and
Sure.
That's kind of the main focus for me. And yet there's KGW down in Portland. I'm like, hey, Chris, we got some Oregon athletes too you got to take care of. Then we got athletes in Idaho that we got to keep an eye on as well. And then there's, some athletes in Alaska. But that's the fun. And honestly, every day you go from one day where you watch judo for 10 hours to one day you go watch beach volleyball for 10 hours, and then you're with some of the greatest, basketball players in the world watching Team USA compete, to swimming. I mean, I still tell this story. In Rio, I'm interviewing Nathan Adrian, Michael Phelps as they get out of the pool. Nathan Adrian grew up in Bremerton, Washington, trained at the Weyerhaeuser Aquatic Center in Federal Way. And I'm telling you what, Mike, after the interview, I've never done this before, I called my wife and apologized. And I just said, honey, I'm sorry. I will never be like these guys. I mean, and I say this because they were Greek gods, 6'4", muscles everywhere. And I felt like just the flabbiest person interviewing both of these guys. I mean, it was just like, oh my God. I mean, and this is in every sport. It's just amazing.
She must have been shocked to learn that you were never going to look like any of those guys.
You know what, Mike?
I can only imagine her reaction.
Right. Her projections in 7th grade at Edgemont were not very good.
Well, I knew I was in trouble in junior high when I couldn't even do one pull-up, and I got a C in weightlifting. So,
So what will you be attending? Tell me, which events are you going to actually be at? What are you most looking forward to attending yourself?
Well, I'm looking forward to. We have a couple cool little stories. We have Nevin Harrison, Roosevelt High School, Seattle, Washington. She's in sprint canoe, and there's 2 young men, Evan Olson. Get my rowers and my kayakers mixed up. Aaron Small and Jonas Ecker. Jonas Ecker grew up in Bellingham. Aaron Small also went to Roosevelt from Seattle. Both of them went to the UW. They're also in sprint canoe, and they trained on Green Lake. So I'm excited to go watch these 3. Nevin Harrison is the defending gold medalist in sprint canoe. It's just you get on a small little boat, you paddle as fast as you can, and the U.S. has never been great against the rest of the world, but Nevin Harrison has put the U.S. on the map. So to see if she can defend her gold medal will be very awesome. I love watching the 3-on-3 basketball. We have Haley Van Lith from Kashmir High. Will be playing for 3-on-3 basketball for Team USA. So it's going to be fun to watch that. And that's just right in the shadow of the Eiffel Tower there, Mike. So where beach volleyball will be taking place. And then this is where I'm going to struggle, and coming from Piob, I took Spanish with Senor Peluso. I should have took a little French, but we'll be heading to the Palace of Versailles.
I was just there.
Well, see, Mike, I need your help there. We're going to be watching Adrian Lyle grew up on a farm in Whidbey Island. She'll be there for the equestrian event. So this is what I love about it is it's not your everyday football, baseball, soccer.
No.
As a sports journalist, you're learning and you're watching, and it's just fascinating to me because every day is a different adventure. So I'm excited. Every day is going to be fun to watch. There's so many different athletes. The crew team, the U.S. 8 crew team guys trained on the Montlake Cut. The head coach of the U.S. crew team, Michael Callahan from the University of Washington. Normally, the crew teams for the U.S. train at Princeton or they train in Florida. He said in the year that they released the boys in the boat, we're bringing the U.S. team to Seattle, Washington to train.
That's what I'm talking about.
Weeks,
That's what I'm talking about.
For 3 weeks, they came to the University of Washington, trained on the same cut where, the 1930 gold medal team trained, and it's so awesome to see this story. They've qualified for the Olympics. They are coached by a UW coach. They have a young man by the name of Evan Olson on the UW men's crew, on the USA crew team. Evan Olson went to Bothell High School. I love this story. He tells me at Bothell High School, he tried out for cross country. He didn't make varsity. He didn't make the JV team. He said he was on a third team that just said run. He said I wasn't a very good athlete at all. But I tried. My parents supported me. I kept trying. I still wasn't very good. One day his mom gave him a book, Boys in the Boat. He was hooked. After he read it, he wanted to do crew, and now he's heading to the Olympics. So it's pretty cool. There's stories like that. There's tons of great stories like that are just going to be fun to share.
Salk, we were talking earlier about Jazz Chisholm, checking a lot of the boxes. I think when it comes to the Olympics and the way that Chris Eagan is built in every fiber of his being, to tell me that it is not like perfect storytelling, different hometowns, right? The journey of these people, just the connective tissue that Eagan has. Eagan, this is, as you said, Super Bowl is one thing, but as far as just being something, a sport, an event, being built for you, Olympics is wheelhouse.
Well, and Brock, how about this email I get from a grandpa? He lives in Sammamish, and he says, Chris, I'm so excited you're heading to Paris. I have a granddaughter by the name of Samantha Sullivan. She's a captain in the U.S. Army. She's a West Point grad. Her brother is a airborne ranger. Her dad is a retired Green Beret colonel. And Chris, I'm so proud as a grandpa. Samantha just made the USA rugby team, and she'll be representing the United States. And if you could get over there and get some pictures of Samantha, and I emailed back, Grandpa, we'll make sure we get Samantha on the air. Don't you worry about that. So those are the things. I mean, those are the things that are just cool. Christian Tabash on the U.S. rowing team. I was talking about Evan Olin. Christian Tabash went to Harvard. He wanted to be an NBA player, guys. He wanted to be an NBA player.
Well, and that's a normal path to be there. Yeah. If you want to be in the NBA, Harvard's your spot.
He gets into high school. He wants to be an NBA player. And I love listening to these stories as parents as well, too. And he tells his dad, I'm going to the NBA. And his dad says, well, you're not tall and you're not the best basketball player, but okay. And then he goes, well, I'm going, Dad. He goes, well, how about this? If you don't make the high school team, why don't you try crew? He goes, well, I would never do that because I'll be in the NBA. And sure enough, he said he made it through the first round of cuts in high school, made it through the second round of cuts, and then he got cut. And he came home, and his dad said, so are we going to do crew? And he goes, all right, let's do crew, Dad. And now he's heading to Paris.
Hey, two last things for me here, Mr. Eagan. Thank you for the time. Those speed kayakers or rowers, you said you mentioned they trained
sprint canoers.
Yeah, sprint
I don't think
canoers.
I'm going to be rooting for the sprint canoer from here who's been practicing at Green Lake.
Well, that's my question.
Because I hear them all the time. I hear the people shouting at them through the megaphones. It wakes me up on Sunday mornings.
Sure.
I don't think I'm going to root for her. I think that she's been bothering me for years.
I think there's some brilliance with these two. It's not always just the physical, Salk. It's the mental. It's the preparation. They looked at the river sign, the river that they're going to be racing on, and it is like the poop river, right? It's so toxic you can't even swim in it.
Yeah, you don't want to go in there.
And they thought, what body of water can we find?
Perfect spot.
Yes, what kind of body of water can we find? And boom, Green Lake. So just not only physically gifted, brilliant in that way as well. I have to ask you just one final thing here,
hey,
Chris.
Chris, do you know about the hat, by the way? Do you know about the mascot for the Olympics?
I have that, but I haven't dug deep into that research yet.
It's when we were there a month ago, and so they have the little mascot everywhere, and it's basically Napoleon's hat come to life, like animated, like person, like turned into a human. What's the word? Anthropomorphized.
Oh, sure.
Yes. It's a Napoleon's hat.
I'll bring you guys back a couple. I'll bring you back a couple hat mascots there. Yeah.
Appreciate that, Chris. This will be your first Olympics minus your buddy. You mentioned covering all these Olympics, man. When I think of Chris Eagan and your 23 years at King, I can't separate you from Alan Reed. I just can't. And nobody in the media can, because everywhere you went, Alan went with you. Everywhere and everything you covered, Alan went with you. Everything that you did and had a passion for, Alan was your buddy right next to you. Have you processed what it will be like without your buddy Alan Reed by you?
Well, a couple points. Brock, I miss A. Reed every day. Every day we go down to Mariners. Every day, anywhere we go, I miss that guy every day. He was, if you don't know Alan Reed, one of the great photojournalists in Seattle TV history. Incredible respect from all the professional teams, high school teams, college teams for what Alan did. So that it's been tough every single day, Brock, with that. When it comes to the Olympics now. This is where it's like everybody's like, oh, you're going to Paris? Oh, croissants and bagels. And I will never complain. And Paul Sylvie taught me this a long time ago when I was covering the Super Bowl in New Jersey. And I'm like, it's cold. And he's like, nobody cares. You're here. I go to the Olympics by myself. I'm an engineer, a producer, a photographer, a anchor, a reporter. We cover 28 NBC stations, I think, with Tegna. There will be 9 of us there. One-man banding everything. It's a 16-hour-a-day grind, but it's, like I said, it's the greatest grind in the world. In South Korea, I was up in a mountain by myself with a colleague from Minneapolis when the U.S. women, Keegan Randall and Jessie Diggins won a gold medal. Nobody thought they would win it. We were the only U.S. media up there in the mountains. The next day we go to curling and watch the U.S. curling win a gold medal. We're doing karaoke and having beer and chicken with them that night. The third night in a row, we watched the U.S. women's hockey team win a gold medal and beat Canada. I mean, it's just you can't explain it until you're there. And it's a grind, and I'm excited. I'm nervous. There's many times where you're like, I'm not going to make this through. You usually get sick, but it's special, and it's fun to cover it.
Can I just offer a little advice? Don't get bagels in front. Like, that's not a Parisian food. Let's not do bagels. I mean, New York, yeah, right, but not Paris. Not a bagel place.
Well, and Mike, I need that because you're a world traveler. Brock and I, for us, when our families wanted to travel, we went to like Sumner or Fife.
Right.
Wild Ways. Should I wear a beret, Mike? Should I wear a beret?
I would wear Napoleon's hat if you can to start. Okay. I think you want to, in fact, dress like Napoleon. If you could pull out a full Napoleon outfit, I think that would work. And I think it's funny because I think we have some of the audio of Chris that night when he was meeting with some of those curlers.
We got ribs, we got hot dogs, oh my goodness!
See, yeah, we have just a little of that audio from back in the day. Chris, have fun. We got to get going here. When do you leave?
I leave Sunday. I'll be off. Wheels up Sunday. So awesome. 10 days until the Olympic Games begin.
Awesome. Enjoy. Have a great time. We'll be watching, and let's check in.
USA. Let's go.
Love you, brother.
There you go. There's Chris
All
Eagan.
right, love you guys.
From King 5 and like 30 other TV stations around the Tegna world. He'll be at the Olympics doing his thing.
Can you imagine if on a daily basis Justin Barnes worked with Chris Eagan?
No.
In fact,
stop talking about that.
Oh.
Too fun?
Just incredible.
Two people who just have that
I like him a lot.
Joy for life, right? The lust for life.
Adventure, joy, love for others, connectiveness. Oh,
that's a good point. Well, and then you got me and Brock. So let's do Blue 88.
This is Brock and Salk's Blue 88.
You put me in that same bucket.
We take you to the field as Brock Ewart breaks down 3 football questions as only he can.
Now here's your hosts, Brock Ewart and Mike Salk.
Next.
Yeah, your relentless positivity has really gotten me recently, Brock. I struggle with all of your relentless
I
positivity.
liked how Salk wisely avoided putting me in that bucket.
Oh, I'm not even mentioning that.
He doesn't want to go to war with me.
Yeah, no, I know better. I know where that's going. Brock, we got 3 good football questions today, starting with this one. What's in store for the Huskies and their fans on November 8th?
Chris Eagan, get back from Paris, get rested, and on these Husky road trips that you're still a part of, make sure, Chris, it's not easy, and I did it a lot of times, from SeaTac to Happy Valley, Pennsylvania, because on November 8th, the Huskies are going to be part of one of the greatest in-game traditions in all of college football. In fact, listen to my buddy Kirk Herbstreit talk about the whiteout that those Huskies will face against Penn State.
We go to a lot of big games, a lot of big settings. There's nothing like the whiteout at Happy Valley.
Not going to be a part of that. I haven't been able to see that up close and personal, Salk, but I've been in that cathedral, in the cathedral in Ann Arbor, in the Horseshoe, and all of them in the SEC. And people ask me all the time, like, you do the last couple games. Where would you want to do it? I always say Nebraska is way up on my list. I absolutely love that place, even though I was splattered like a pancake on the turf and left for dead when we got destroyed there as a player. But November 8th came out yesterday. That will be Whiteout Day at Penn State. It is incredible. It's almost 110,000 people. It is the music. It is, it's hard to explain. And when you hear Kirk Herbstreit say it is unlike anything in college football, that guy has seen it all in college football. Get ready. And Husky fans, get your plane tickets, man. Buckle up. It may not be pretty in the line of scrimmage. It's going to be very difficult for the Huskies this year, but that is a life experience you want to take in.
All right, question number 2. All right, Brock, is Geno Smith the 4th best quarterback in the NFC West, which is exactly what the ESPN poll of executives, coaches, and scouts indicated?
Yeah, it's super hard for me to absorb that. It really is. Kyler Murray? And this goes back to being a number 1 pick. I mean, it's fascinating, right? In this division, you have Mr. Irrelevant and you have 2 number 1 picks. And then Geno Smith at the top of the second round with the Jets a long, long time ago and many galaxies ago and many different teams ago. It just shows you, like, when you're a number 1 pick, scouts and coaches and GMs, they just kind of hold them in esteem. Because that evaluation coming out meant you've got unique tools that nobody else has. And Kyler Murray did when he came out of school. His foot quickness and just his ability to scoot and all that stuff's amazing. But we've watched him. How many years have we watched him, Salk? I mean, he's not a great thrower of the football. He is tiny. He gets pressured. He gets impacted. His body language is some of the worst in the league. And I'm sorry, man, the resume compared to Geno Smith isn't close. Certainly over the last couple years. So I have a real hard time absorbing that. Brock Purdy put Geno Smith on San Francisco. I don't think the results are all that different. I really don't. I think there's a lot more, in fact, that Geno Smith can do that Brock Purdy can't do as a thrower and in scheme and everything else. But he's done it. He's done it super efficiently. I'll give him his due. Matthew Stafford, obviously, number 1 on that list. But I cannot for the life of me. And if I'm Geno, well, all that's doing is putting a bigger and bigger and bigger boulder right on his shoulder.
Well, he needs one, that's for sure. Question number 3. College football, Brock, is going to look unrecognizable this year. Greg Sankey is still the biggest power broker, right, in college football, is the head of the SEC commissioner there. What are we learning as we start gearing up for the season?
Yeah, this is, and I'll get down with my Fox bosses this week. We'll have our seminar Friday morning with all the head honchos, and it's always a time to connect with my NFL peers, all my Fox peers. It's an awesome time. I'll be very psychologically intrigued to watch Greg Olsen and Tom Brady interact and all of that. I'll have many reports, I'm sure, come Monday morning. But yes, Greg Sankey is still the biggest power broker when it comes to the commissioners of college football. He was at SEC Media Days asking about this world of NIL. What direction are we go? How can we fix this thing? Here was Mr. Sankey on that.
I don't think the toothpaste ever fully goes back in the tube. Whether that's reality of a mess on a morning when you're in a hurry or just using the metaphor. But how can we put some things aside with clarity and consistency? So the courts are part of that activity. I think Congress can be a part of that activity. We have a responsibility to try. Congress is having a tough time dealing with that, which it has to deal with, much less what others want them to deal with. State level issues, I think, have to be more of our conversation. So can we have consistency among our 12 states? Do I lay awake at night, or do our coaches lay awake at night thinking about California? No. But they do think about each other. And then you go down to the conference and over to the NCAA level. I think all 5 of those places, courts, Congress, states, conferences, campuses, and then the NCAA, have a role to play in finding a solution.
And you understand why it is going to be very, very difficult to get anybody. Just get 2 or 3 of those 6 on the same page. George Kliavkoff, one of the last things I remember him saying, a little bit of hubris and a little bit of anger when we had our alumni meeting, said, I got into this business thinking that college sports would be collegial. It is not collegial. It's the furthest thing from it in anything in my business life I've experienced. From what I understand, in conversations I had through the UFL with some of my bosses, is that for the first time, you're actually seeing on those campuses and with a couple of the key power broker commissioners some, collegiality that you have not seen in the past. And it's going to take them first. And those conferences and those campuses, Salk, have got to get on the same page first with their toothpaste before you can ever address Congress and states and all the rest. They've got to figure out a solution for something that's just running amok right now.
In other sports, they call that collusion. But I guess in this world, we're going to call it collegiality. That is today's Blue 88, and we do that every day at 7:45. There you go. All right. Great stuff from Egan. He is perfect for the Olympics, and I like the Olympics. Are you looking forward to the Olympics?
I am. Are you more Winter Olympics or Summer Olympics?
I think probably summer. I went to the Summer Olympics in 1996, which was awesome. I had a friend who was going, and he allowed me to tag along with him because his brother couldn't go, and that was awesome. Got to see the second Dream Team, and got to see the finals of team handball, which is insane. Got to see Agassi win the gold, which was awesome. It was great. It was really, really fun, and a very I know what Chris means, is a really just cool experience being around it. We were there the second week, so I missed the bombing stuff, thankfully. But it was great. It was just a really cool experience. And you're right, Brock, that it is just perfect for him and his personality and all the things that kind of make him great as a broadcaster are all things that are perfect for the Olympics.
Yep. And just to watch superhuman feats, right? I mean, it's so weird thinking back.
Would you want to go to weightlifting? Would that be something that would interest you in the Olympics?
So. I mean, there's only so many that I could probably hear, So
I think our audience agrees. Yes.
Brock's pretty amped for our race, so I think he might like some track and field.
That's that. And honestly, the gymnastics, women gymnastics, watching Simone Biles just do this superhuman stuff. Right. And we've talked about this, like which sport as a parent, you think it's tough to watch, your kid play basketball or your kid do this or kid do that. There would be nothing. Can you imagine being an Olympic mom or dad and watching your child out there on the balance beam or the parallel bars for the gold medal for your country and just one little wobble
and just desperately trying to figure out the new scoring system where tens don't exist? And you're like, what did she do? Did she do well? She got an 8.7. Is that good?
Right. Well, it's also one of the sports where they're really young still.
Yeah, super young. Yeah, there's yes. I just wish they'd fix the scoring system because I don't think. All right. Anyway, let's take a quick break. Alex Rodriguez is going to join us in 35 minutes. Before we do it, I think we need to talk about A-Rod, and I might need a little history lesson from you and Justin. That's next on Brock and Salk.
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy.
What is the single best thing that this organization has ever done?
I think hiring Pete Carroll as their head coach. I think that set in motion the greatest era of Seahawks football we've ever experienced.
Every subsequent thing that I loved was a byproduct of hiring Pete Carroll. Those connections he still had to USC and local recruiting trails brought in a lot of those gems that he found in the 5th round, and I don't want to discredit John from doing that as well. Pete Carroll, though, hired John Schneider.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
This is a paid political announcement. A Bob for Bob update. Under 12 years of Bob Ferguson as Attorney General and Chief Prosecutor, we in Washington have seen a lot of increases. This, of course, includes a 26% increase in violent crime, 58% increase in homicides, and Washington ranking 4th in the country in stolen vehicles in 2023, behind California, Texas, and Florida. Oh, and according to the FBI, Washington was the 8th most dangerous state between 2020 and 2022. Don't ask for help if you drive a Hyundai or a Kia that's been stolen. What has AG Bob Ferguson done? Bob's been busy planning his governor's campaign and keeping Washington last in the country in law enforcement officers per citizen. As the leader of the Bob for Bob committee, I encourage you to vote Bob if you want more of these crippling policies for Washington, so Bob gets what he's always wanted, governor. Paid for by the Bob for Bob Committee, 1283 Puyallup, Washington, 98371. Top 4 donors, Steve Gordon, Fremont Dock Company, Brian Haywood, and Susie Burke.
Oh no, your furnace died. Your hot water heater's leaking. Your drains are clogged. Your AC's blowing hot air. Inconveniences? No, they're emergencies. Don't fear. Call Deere Services. Visit deerservices.net. Make an appointment and we'll be there within 3 hours or give you $100 credit. And get this, you will never pay a service fee. Bookmark DEARservices.net because if you're a homeowner, it'll happen to you someday. Deere Services, there when you need us most.
Transform your outdoor space with Synthetic Turf Northwest, the Northwest's leader in synthetic turf solutions for 28 years, serving Seattle, Tacoma, and Bellevue. Specializing in residential backyard golf greens, custom play areas, and pet-friendly systems, we create stunning, low-maintenance landscapes for every need. Our artificial grass systems offer unmatched durability and beauty, tailored to your lifestyle. Now through July 31st, beat the heat and save up to $1,000 off your project. SyntheticTurfNorthwest.com, 425-788-0718. Enhance your backyard with Synthetic Turf Northwest, where expertise meets excellence.
We all recognize that we have to work as a team and really be intentional in how we treat our customers and how we treat each other.
Working together. Lee Johnson employees understand what it takes to fulfill the purpose of their day.
I'm no more important than a salesperson. Even Randy. Randy is no more important than a salesperson, and Randy makes you know that every single day. You are valuable, that he couldn't do it without you. I'm not saying we don't get frustrated. You try to remember that we are together. We are a team. Everyone respects everyone else's abilities and talent. And without that thought process, you're sunk. And gosh, why wouldn't you want to work for a company that instills that in you? Right?
The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto family.
Everybody knows home is where the heart is. But for the Mariners, home is where thousands of hearts come together all season long. It's also where the no-fly zone is.
Julio Jones makes the catch!
Where that barehander beyond belief is.
Rojas, barehand play for him, the stretch, and they got him again!
It's where the never give up, no matter what inning it is.
Lou Bradley does it again! The Mariners are right back in it!
And where 100-plus mile-an-hour game-over magic is.
Munoz strikes out the side, and the ball game is over.
It's T-Mobile Park, where Seattle is. Mariners baseball, Trident's up.
This Friday, the Mariners kick off the second half of the season at T-Mobile Park with back-to-back AL West showdowns. Be here as the squad squares off against the Astros Friday the 19th through Sunday the 21st, and the Angels Monday the 22nd through Wednesday the 24th. You won't want to miss these divisional matchups. Get your tickets today at Mariners.com.
At Shane Company, we'll help you design an engagement ring as unique as your love story. We have the widest selection of diamonds and gemstones for you to choose from. And you can compare them side by side, right here in our store. Only at Shane Company can you sift through exquisite diamonds, rubies, and a rainbow of sapphires in a variety of shapes and sizes. We'll help you create your dream engagement ring no matter your price range. Choose the ring setting that speaks to your style, from classic to modern to vintage. We offer so many ways to personalize your ring. Pick your favorite center stone, add a decorative crown and a custom engraving, or select a perfectly preset ring that's ready to go. At Shane Company, our jewelers know how much your ring means to you. They hand-set each center stone with precision and pride in our jeweler's workshop, so you can feel confident knowing your ring is crafted with the greatest care and comes with an unmatched free lifetime warranty that lets you know we'll always be here for you. Your love story deserves to shine bright. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Give me a freaking auto!
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Brock and Salk on Seattle Sports.
I don't read the internet, guys.
Take the bull by the hands.
Styled by Simply Seattle.
And Brooke Eward. And Brooke Eward.
Now here are your hosts, Brock Eward and Mike Salk.
There are a couple of names that when you bring them up on Seattle Sports Radio are polarizing, bring passion from our audience. Certainly Ken Griffey Jr. and not polarizing, just universally beloved, Edgar Martinez, etc. And then you run into some folks like Sean Alexander, right, who can be very polarizing to a Seattle audience, but none more so, I think, than Alex Rodriguez, because of obviously his first 6 years in the league, followed by leaving, the way he did, the way his career went afterwards. And he's going to join us today at 8:30, so about a half hour from now. I said earlier that I don't think he's been on Seattle radio since he left. Maybe he was on KJR before we got going as a station. I don't know, but I don't think so. He has talked to Seattle media. He did a Larry interview and a column that Larry Stone wrote, 4 or 5 years ago. So he's had some conversations about it, but we've certainly never talked to him, and I'm looking forward to doing that for the first time at 8:30. How, as you and Justin especially, guys who grew up here or rooting for the Mariners during the A-Rod years, what is your impression and memories of A-Rod?
Man, he was so good. And I know Mike Cameron chimed in yesterday on your tweet, with A-Rod coming on. Salke was just so immensely talented on the heels of having Ken Griffey Jr., right? Should have been the first unanimous Hall of Famer. Like just one of the greats to ever do it with Willie Mays and Hank and in that kind of esteem. To think that you could get another number one pick that would be just a generational superhuman. Talk about the Olympics, it's superhuman talent. I mean, to be a 6'4" shortstop coming out of high school, Saul, he committed to Miami. Obviously, the Mariners take him number one, give him a 3-year deal. He comes up really young because he's amazing. In an era where you're supposed to toil for a lot of years in the minors. He did not. And he came up, and part of the reason I was up at 10:30 last night, I was like, you know what? Let me put this game on. Let me see if I can find a little clip here, and I can send it to Justin and Maura and have for, this 8 a.m. segment once I saw your kind of show sheet and what you want to talk about. Because in my first start, Salk, I think I've told you this, but I don't think Maura and Justin know this story. My first start at the University of Washington in late September of 1996 was against the University of Arizona. Really good defense coming on the heels of their Desert Swarm, and they played a lot of man-to-man. They're really good. And I played the first game, came in with Corey Dillon, almost beat Arizona State. We didn't. Played the second game, played pretty bad, threw a bad pick against BYU. Shane Fortney got hurt at the end of the game, and this is going to be my first start. And I'm on the sidelines in warm-ups, and I look over to the sidelines, and who do I see? I see Alex Rodriguez. And honest to goodness, I'm kind of getting a little goosebumps right here. Honest to goodness, 30 years later, I remember right there, we talk about the mental part of sports. I remember looking at him going, if Alex Rodriguez can do this, he's my age, right? He's basically the same age as me coming out of high school. And this dude can play in the majors, and not just play, but be a star in Major League Baseball?
Sure.
You telling me I can't shred Arizona Wildcats? Like, it was one of those, calming moments. Like, I'm going to put on a show for this guy. Like, this is the young stud in our market, and I'm going to put on a show.
Well, and you were right, certainly, in terms of what he was doing that year. In 96, his first full year in the big leagues, he led the league in runs scored, doubles, batting average, and total bases.
Yeah. He's a phenom. I mean, unbelievable. And obviously the future and where baseball went and all that other stuff, kind of like Barry Bonds with the Pirates, the dude was so unbelievably good and talented and amazing and remarkable and all of it. And so I went back and I started watching that game thinking, I wonder if I know I mentioned it after the game, and then I just got totally sucked in because I threw for 320 yards. I'm like, this is actually a pretty good game for the little lefty. And I think Alex Rodriguez played a little role, honest to goodness, played a role in that. Man, if Alex can do what Alex can do in this market, why can't I go out and do my thing? And, he was truly, and Justin, you can add to that, on the heels of Ken Griffey Jr., to then rock and bring in an Alex Rodriguez right alongside and have Edgar and have that impact. You want to talk about impact and star power? Those guys brought it to the organization in a way that was just
Brock,
incredible.
you probably mimicked Griffey's swing growing up, right? That was what you did. There was no other player that we mimicked more than A-Rod besides Griffey. That was, especially being a middle infielder, I was like, oh, this is, as an 8-year-old kid when he first came up, I'm like, well, this is definitely our next guy. And it just felt like you're always going to have him. He was this bright, effervescent, good-looking, charming, smile. Like everybody loved him.
Yeah.
And every infielder wanted to be him. Every outfielder and power hitter wanted to be Griffey, and everybody else wanted to be A-Rod. And I'll always remember the picture of him consoling Cora, and like after Game 6, was it the ALCS after they lost to Cleveland? Remember Cora's crying and A-Rod's hands on his shoulder. It's like, oh, he's a leader too, and he's a rookie. Like there was something different about him.
By the way, his OPS that year in 1996 was 1,045. Since we're debating whether or not it'd be okay to add like a 720 OPS guy this year, A-Rod's that year was 1,045.
That's wild.
His career OPS in 22 seasons is 930. That is an insane number, by the way, not in the Hall of Fame, which is dumb. He should be, as should Barry Bonds, as should all of those guys. But
and also think about this. Like there's Spike Owen. There was a little Omar Vizquel. There's some amazing shortstops. And then there's 6'4".
Spike Owen was an amazing shortstop, but
for the Mariners, in the Mariners lore, in our hearts, he was. And then all of a sudden there's 6'4", 200-pound athlete. Okay, there's Ozzie Smith. They're great shortstops. Now, Cal did, and obviously, Ripken then shifted over to third base. But for his size and his athleticism, it was like watching Griffey in center field. It's superhuman. It's like these Olympics we're going to watch. Chris Eagan was talking. There's stuff that's superhuman. You're not supposed to make it look that easy and so smooth and just so remarkable.
Yeah.
And
He
yes,
was so easy to embrace. He was so easy to embrace.
And then unfortunately said I'd never leave for the money.
Yeah.
And unfortunately Texas came with $200 million. And I think any of those guys, the mistake was saying something like, hey, I'm never going to leave for the money. And once you say that and you're 24 and you're saying it's going to carry with you forever. And it certainly did when he returned and dollar bills flying down from then Safeco field as he returned. And that was a difficult separation because he was an unbelievable talent.
I'm glad to get your perspective on that, and it'll be interesting to talk to him. Obviously, my perspective of A-Rod during those years was of, part of this triumvirate of shortstops, Nomar, A-Rod, and Jeter. And, I was pretty convinced that one of those guys was a whole lot better than the other two. As it turns out, only one of them is today in the Hall of Fame. Two of them didn't make it. One of them disgraced in one way. The other disgraced in another. And so, it's
complicated.
He's a complicated figure, man, because he was really, really talented, but always seemed to be missing that one thing. And it's funny that you bring up the connection early because that seemed to always be his biggest problem was connecting, the Russell Wilson factor, right? And that was the comp for Russell when people first started to learn about who Russell is. So A-Rod's had kind of a rebirth with a second career here as a broadcaster, and we're going to talk to him. We're going to ask him about Julio and some of the struggles this year and see if he can in any way relate to what Julio's going through and how he can pull through this. And yes, we'll talk about the decision to leave Seattle and give him some opportunity to discuss as well. That's coming up in 20 minutes right after everything you need to know next. It's Brock and Salk, Seattle Sports on 710.
The Dugout. Go in depth with the Mariners.
Leaps up and he makes the catch.
With voices like Ryan Roland Smith, Gary Hill, and Mike Blowers.
Long-term pitching, if you have that foundation, good things are going to happen.
It makes him so valuable when he's hitting.
This team is a team that's going to have to bunch hits together, put pressure on the defense.
Hear from the players and coaches, and go behind the scenes with insider Shannon Drayer.
They find a way to grind it out, stay in the game. I thought it was a really good win for them.
The Dugout, Tuesdays at 1 p.m. on Seattle Sports.
Hey, are you searching for a local, trustworthy group of professionals to assist you with your mortgage needs this morning? Hey, Brock Ewart here, and you can count on Tila Mortgage. They've been the go-to mortgage experts in Washington State for over 25 years. Many have come, many have gone. Tila Mortgage has remained. And if you're 62 or older and you want to learn more about reverse mortgages, well, Tila can help you decide if that's the right choice for you and your family. If monthly payments are impacting your credit score and just killing your month-to-month cash flow, well, Tila can assist you in consolidating your debt with proven programs like a refinance loan, or what I've talked to you a lot about over the last few months, a home equity line of credit, enabling you to maintain your low fixed rate first mortgage, but putting some cash back in your pocket. Additionally, if you're purchasing a new home, Tila can guide you through the ins and outs of that process of a home loan as well, with hundreds of 5-star reviews. Tila, spelled T-I-L-A, is a name you could trust, a trusted source for honest and ethical mortgage advice. Call Tila today. Call them this morning at 206-766-8888, 206-766-8888, or TilaMortgage.com. Tila Mortgage, LLC is a mortgage broker, MLS 2472046.
Hey golf fans, Dan Wilson here inviting you to join me at the 2024 Boeing Classic. See Masters champions and Golf Hall of Famers live at the club at Snoqualmie Ridge from August 9th through 11th. It's your chance to experience the only PGA Tour champion stop in the Pacific Northwest and see golf's biggest stars. Grab the whole family and come on down to join the action. It's a golf experience you won't want to miss. The Boeing Classic at the club at Snoqualmie Ridge from August 9th through the 11th. For $20 tickets, visit BoeingClassic.com.
Guys, did you know your testosterone affects everything in your system, including how you feel and perform every day? Right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. Knowing your T levels is the first step in understanding if you have low T. Your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED. Maintaining an appropriate T level can change your whole life. Most men start to see changes in their hormone levels in their 30s. Experience and results matter. So what are you waiting for? Get your T levels checked today by local, experienced, and trusted men's health experts. They've helped thousands of men since 2011. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Call Revive today and schedule your free testosterone test, free exam, and free consultation. Call Revive Men's Health at 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
Are you really that different than the rest of us?
We are. As a fiduciary, we always focus on what's best for our clients.
What services do you offer besides investing?
We have a team of specialists in financial planning, estate planning, and more.
Your clients rely on you for all that?
Yes, we ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Okay, but you still sell commission-based products, right?
No, because we believe that's a conflict of interest. We prioritize service over sales goals.
So, then how do your fees work?
We have a simple and transparent fee that's a percentage of our clients' portfolios. So we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, we're more different than I thought.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Headed outdoors or on the water this weekend? Check in with Joey and Nellie on the Outdoor Line from 6 to 8 a.m. every Saturday on SeattleSports.com.
Did you know there's a revolutionary pediatric cancer treatment called immunotherapy going on at Seattle Children's Hospital? Kids with cancer know that true strength comes from within. And with immunotherapy, they can fight cancer from the inside out with their own superpower, their immune systems. However, pediatric cancer research and trials are severely underfunded. G. Scott here asking you to join the fight for all kid kind. Next time you're at Safeway checkout, please choose to make a donation. Thank you for becoming an immuno hero.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Are you looking for a construction loan to build your dream home? Are you a local builder needing a better financing option for your next spec project? Hi, I'm Scott Rireka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital in Bellevue. Stop wasting time with local banks and credit unions and their endless guidelines. We're the experts for common sense residential construction loans. We lend our own money, we make our own decisions. And if your deal makes sense, we'll get it done fast with flexible terms. For homeowners, we advise you every step of the way with things like budget and timeline, ensuring the completion of your dream home. For builders, Legacy's not only your lender, we'll source your next deal, provide permitting services, and if you're short on equity, we'll invest alongside of you. Legacy Group Capital has lent more than $1 billion, helping over 130 local builders and hundreds of homeowners. We can help you.
Construction loans don't have to be hard. Borrow smart with a common sense construction loan from Legacy Group Capital. Visit LegacyG.com. LegacyG.com.
Need to know.
15 minutes past every hour with Brock and Salk.
Here's what you need to know. Up first.
Did you find yourself happy for Teoscar Hernandez last night? I did, as he won the home run derby. Bobby Witt Jr. falling short by one home run, and the last one went, 4 feet short as it bounced off the bottom of the wall? It was 2 feet short.
2 feet. Yes.
Yeah. Sort of like the ball I hit the other day that thought it was going to clear the bunker, and then it just caught the very top of the lip and bounced back. Yeah, Teo, the winner. Good for him. 19 home runs this year.
Man, this is amazing, man. Everything that I'm feeling right now is there's no word I can describe what I'm feeling in front of my family, in front of everybody that is here.
He wanted to be in it. You heard that repeatedly over the course. Carl Ravitch telling that story a number of times, and the rest of the guys on the set like, I want to be a part of this, and he's got just tremendous pop. Right? I thought one of the cool things that Griffey was asked earlier in the Derby is, I think in particular about Garcia and just the Cam Chancellor-esque muscles. Like, oh man, do those massive arms, they really help? But what Ken say, it's really the legs and hands. And I mean, Teo's legs and his base tremendous, and those hands are powerful.
Very
powerful.
And you got to
He's
see
had an amazing first half, 19 home runs. And why wouldn't you root for the former Mariner? It was just great to see.
I always liked Teo, and I kind of wished he was still here this year. So, yes, I was perfectly happy to root for Teo. Gunnar Henderson, Brock, kind of stole the show with the Scooby-Doo impression.
Give me that Scooby-Doo impression.
All right. Raggy.
It was pretty good. That's up there certainly with Passan's Elmo, I would say.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
The only thing better now is the anthem.
No, I don't know if I would put that in that category. Teo had a lot to say, though, about his time in Seattle, saying he loved it here, said that he didn't feel the way he wanted to feel when he was playing at home. This is all from Adam Jude in the Seattle Times. When I say that, it's not about the fans, it's not about the team or the front office or anybody that has to do with the team. He said he never felt like he was lined up in a straight line with the pitcher's mound at T-Mobile Park. Quote, it was a little crooked. I didn't feel really straight with the pitcher for some reason. I moved everywhere in the batter's box and tried to fix it, but I couldn't figure it out. He said he talked to other players around the league. They all seem to agree on this. It is a very strange mystery with T-Mobile Park, but one we've heard a couple times before, and maybe that's the reason it suppresses offense.
Give me the hole at Druids, Gold Mountain, at the home course, whose tee box you're just like, man, I can't get right. I just can't. This just aims me. Newcastle. Is there?
There's a bunch.
I just can't
Number
get
9
right.
is Snoqualmie Ridge. Always kind of does that.
Yeah, there's nothing. There's nowhere in this tee box that I feel good that I can get this ball.
11 at the home course. I always feel that's probably the one that would be the most.
Number 11?
Number 11 at the home course. You feel like you're angled off to the right. The hole's off to the left. And guess where I put it every time? Way off to the right. Me and Teo. Same problem.
Here's the second thing you need to know.
Pitchers and catchers. First 9 rounds of the draft. That's what the Mariners did. 7 pitchers, 1 catcher, and then 1 guy who pitches and catches. You don't do that at the same time, right?
No.
You're going to have to run over as fast as the ball and catch it like Wile E. Coyote or something. Anyway, bunch of pitchers. You said double down on strength. I think it's more just for the last few years at the top of the draft, they've gone hitter.
Oh, for sure. It's a scarcity of pitching.
Pitchers.
Yes, it's a scare. You just look at their top 100 prospects, their top players at every single level, and they're largely, other than Logan down in AA, they're largely all positional players. So you had to replenish your pitching, and they have, this reminds me of the draft a number of years ago where they did the same thing, just went all in. I said it on day 1 of the draft with the first couple guys picked. If you're a pitcher and you're Brock out of Oregon at 6'6", there is not a better place you could have gone. Atlanta and Seattle to develop your craft, develop and get the most out of your talent.
Do you think after having an ERA over 5.8 and a WHIP over 1.5 that he was a little surprised to get the call in the 7th round that he'd been picked?
Because it's 6'6", 220, and you could throw 99. It's the measurables and the projectables they look for.
And that's exactly what they did with Brian Wu, with Logan Evans, and it's paid off quite well in both of those cases.
Here's the third thing you need to know.
ESPN continuing to go through all of their position groups in the NFL and trying to figure the top 10 according to coaches, executives, and scouts. No Seahawks yet in the top 10, and yesterday that included at quarterback, where Geno Smith didn't make the honorable mentions, nor even the others receiving votes, so not in their top 18.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't. I totally get the top 10, maybe even the 15, but you start to stretch beyond there, and you put Kyler Murray, and Kyler Murray gets votes ahead of you. That's just, I think
he might
that's
have gotten one vote.
I think that's a draft prejudice. I think that's just looking at some skill sets.
Just one guy who loves the speed.
Yeah, could have been. I will say this though, man, Geno, we felt this way in April, right? When the first GPS numbers went up, and the Seahawks posted some of that stuff early, and Geno topped out at over 21.5 miles an hour. I'm like, that's got to be wrong. I checked with my sources there, absolutely not wrong. Looking at Geno's pictures that he posted in kind of Russell Wilson-esque form yesterday of himself without his shirt on, dude is coming into camp on a mission, tremendous shape. Knows that with a whole new regime here in place that Pete's no longer here. Got to prove myself all over again. Yeah, you didn't see those pictures?
Well, it was nice of you to send it over. I clicked on the tweet and I couldn't read it.
Well, Maura, you could read it, right? You can see the pics. Justin, when I said, you can see the pics.
Yeah, I can see the pics.
No, there's only one of us who doesn't get to see the pics.
Why do you think Geno Smith blocked me?
I don't know.
Does it say blocked when you go there?
It says the owner of this tweet limits who can see it, which I assume means that he blocked me.
Okay, I thought on Twitter X it says you have been blocked.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, just told me that I couldn't see it, that he limits who sees it. I would assume that means he's
if I was Geno,
taking me out of that.
Yeah, if I was Geno, I'd probably limit you too.
For what? I never said anything about him personally.
Probably.
Richard Sherman, I got a lot of comments about what Richard Sherman said and did over the years.
Yes, Justin, I've been blocked by Cam Chancellor.
Yeah.
Cam blocked me.
I got blocked too. What did you? How did you feel about the shirtless Geno pics though?
Dude looked like he's in unbelievable shape. Way better. I remember talking to Jay Keeps like 4 or 5 years ago, watching Geno at OTA, and I'm like, dude, I don't see it. Bird legs, no, I just don't see it. And the dude has really, really transformed himself physically.
All right, that's everything you need to know. 1/4 every hour here on the Brock and Salk Show. We've been talking about it all morning, and it is time to speak with Alex Rodriguez. He will join us next on Brock and Salk.
Get the national perspective on the Mariners.
Swing and a miss and a slider, strike 3.
With Jeff Passett, Tuesday mornings at 8:30.
The Mariners have arguably the best pitching staff in baseball. I think I'm probably taking the Mariners at the end of the day over every team in the American League right now.
And John Morosi, Thursdays at 5 p.m.
This is the team to beat in the division. And it's not just a hot take. That's what the numbers say, that they're the team to beat in the division.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Mariners.
Hey, you guys looking for a fun night out? Only 30 minutes from downtown. Snoqualmie Casino is just the spot. They've got so much going on. Right now, a few country concerts. Craig Morgan on August 22nd. Twitty and Lynn will be September 26th. And before the show, stop by for some food. Falls Buffet, always serving up your favorites. Prime rib every day, fresh pasta made to order, stir fry, the noodles, pizza, salad bar, dessert bar. Yeah, all of it. Vista's got the amazing happy hour menu starting at 4. It's all at Seattle's closest casino, only 30 minutes from downtown, online at snocasino.com. Seattle's closest, Snoqualmie Casino.
Sinking or uneven concrete around your home? You need to call Matt Vey Foundation Repair.
Hi, I'm Matthew Cote with Matt Vey Foundation Repair. If you have an uneven, cracked driveway, sunken sidewalk, or sagging cement porch, we offer an easy and cost-effective solution.
When you call Matt Vey, you'll get a realistic bid, meticulous cleanup, and a lifetime warranty. No one else offers that kind of guarantee. For your free evaluation, call 8449-MATT-VEY or visit gomattvey.com.
Do it the right way, the Matt Vey way. Rock built, rock solid.
Free consultations, no fee guarantees, 5-star reviews. JP Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains the importance of going beyond these familiar offerings.
Accident victims want an attorney, Tom, that satisfies their needs. Someone who handles those needs with the highest degree of care. Pendergast Law offers the no-fee guarantees and free consultations, but these only scratch the surface.
Okay, explain more.
We make sure that every member of our team is genuinely passionate about helping others. Customer service and communication are our top priority. It's how we take care of our clients so they always feel one step ahead of the insurance companies. Our strong reputation for high standards provides comfort and confidence when it's needed most.
Pendergast Law offers the free consultations, the no-fee guarantees, and, of course, they are 5-star rated. But what really makes them different is their genuine passion for helping others. I can't recommend them enough.
If your loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
That's PendergastLaw.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
I think my battery's dead. With free battery testing and charging, we can help you get back on the road.
Get in the zone. Auto.
So what if I need a new one? We have the right Duralast battery for you, only at AutoZone.
Get in the zone. Auto.
And what about my old battery? We can recycle it right here at America's #1 battery destination.
Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body?
Huh?
That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
I was unable to walk for 3 months. The insurance company was very excited to talk to me and wanted to make sure that I had up to $5,000. My attorney quickly told me, they need to talk to us because there wasn't any amount of compensation that would make up for what I experienced. The Davis Law Group really helped me out.
Oh no, your furnace died. Don't fear, call Deere. Deere Services. We'll be there within 3 hours guaranteed. Bookmark DEARservices.net.
2 things you're looking at when you're shopping for a new car or SUV: choice and exceptional deals. Visit our friends at Mazda of Everett and you'll be satisfied with both. Which Mazda moves you? Find out at Mazda of Everett. Choose from over 600 new Mazdas in stock, and right now they're offering 0% financing on all new Mazda CX-5s, CX-30s, CX-50s, and CX-90s on approved credit. Need more reasons? They also treat you like family and want you to drive away happy. See for yourself at MazdaofEverett.com.
Get ready for an all-time anniversary bash. The Mariners are celebrating 25 years at T-Mobile Park with a fireworks spectacular this Friday. The team is squaring off against the Astros, and after the game, we'll be throwing it back to the most memorable Mariners moments at the best ballpark in baseball. From the legend of Ichiro.
And there it is! He's the new all-time hit king in Major League history, number 258.
To the perfection of Felix.
A perfect game by a Seattle Mariner. It was done by the king.
To the magic of clinch night.
Cal Raleigh with a walk-off home run. How sweet it is. And the Mariners are going to the playoffs.
This is a post-game party you won't want to miss. Go to Mariners.com/fireworks to get your tickets and check out the rest of this summer's Mariners fireworks lineup presented by T-Mobile. Mariners baseball. Tridents up.
Kick off summer by checking out the incredible showroom at Toyota of Kirkland. With a wide selection of Camrys on the lot, including the brand new 2025 Hybrid Camry, along with the new inventory of Tundras and Tacomas. All with a lifetime powertrain warranty, you're in for a summer to remember. The unbeatable team at Toyota of Kirkland will set up your test drive, and you can take that car home the same day. Get your summer groove on at Toyota of Kirkland or visit online at toyotaofkirkland.com.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Brock and Salk.
Weekdays 6 to 10.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
When we first started talking about having Alex Rodriguez on, Brock, I think a lot of our reasoning is we wanted somebody who might be able to relate to Julio. It was when Julio was really at sort of the depths of his struggles this year. And we said, okay, who might be able to relate to this? There aren't that many people that have come up as young with his kind of talent that we would have any sort of access to. And the name Alex Rodriguez came up because of, again, the talent coming up young, certainly being here in Seattle. I don't know that there's a season where you would look at A-Rod's numbers and say he, quote unquote, struggled. But after that, it's not his rookie year, but that first full season where I said he had an 1,045 OPS. Next year, that did drop to 846 in 1997. Is that a bad year? No, he was an all-star. He still hit 300 that season with 350 on base percentage and slugged 496. So I'm not going to say it was a bad year, but his OPS dropped essentially 200 points from the year before. So he quote unquote struggled comparative to the incredible numbers he had put up the previous season. So maybe he can reflect a little bit on what it's like to have, generational success and then drop back a little bit.
Yeah, and just, was it this year, this spring? It was the previous spring, right, where we talked about, and pretty in-depth with Julio, about having to handle everything else.
Mm-hmm.
That the baseball is one thing, right? And we referenced Ichiro, right? And Ichiro is certainly a guy that's been a sounding board for Julio, that is still ever present with the Mariners, still in uniform quite often. But Ichiro from a different place, a different culture than a Alex Rodriguez that was from South Florida, that knew what it was like at a young age, right? By the time Ichiro came over here, he had played how many years of professional baseball, right? He was already kind of a proven icon and was able to, I think in many ways, kind of shield all of that noise. Different for Julio. And certainly last year with the All-Star game, which will be played tonight, last year played in Seattle, all that he carried with it, all of the anticipation, all of the expectation, all that comes for you when you've got just a talent, Salk, that not just a baseball guy can see, right? This draft is going on, and it's always fascinating. Oh, this guy's an 80 tool, he's a 50 tool, he's a 60 tool. Like, they got all these evaluators and all these scouts. Every baseball fan can look at Alex Rodriguez when he was with the Mariners in the mid-'90s, like, whoa, that's just different. And just about every baseball fan can look at Julio and see a talent that is just different, a size, a shape, a body, a speed, a power, an effort, just all these things. It's just that talent just oozes. So, yeah, there's not many that could speak to, I think, Julio Rodriguez and all that he has to handle in a way that Alex Rodriguez can.
Yeah, being labeled a superstar, coming up and having a lot of pressure on you and the weight of a franchise, the weight of a city. Soon after he came up, obviously Griffey exits the scene. And, it's all eyes on A-Rod, right? He sort of bridges that gap between Griffey and Ichiro. And, look, there's not a lot of A-Rod stuff at T-Mobile Park. There's not a lot of anything there to honor him or to kind of, reflect on his time there. And I'm sure a lot of that has to do with the way he left and never truly mending fences. There were some quotes in a Larry Stone column about 5 years ago where, he said some nice enough things about Seattle, but I don't know that there was ever a real moment where he came back and was embraced or anything like that. So, he's a complicated figure. There's no doubt. And in every way you look at A-Rod, there's something that makes him complicated.
I got a question. Was this, because again, I'm being so young for the beginning of the A-Rod thing, was this sort of the start, or was it one of the earlier Scott Boras guys, the big clients that really launched that? The massive and crazy big contracts from baseball for young stars then? Or is this later in the Scott Boras thing? He'd already done this 10 times.
I don't remember Boris's name all that much before that.
Okay.
It was, and I could be wrong, but it was Boris and Jeff Morad at the time was one of the other big agents in baseball. He was Manny Ramirez's agent and a few other guys. He ended up being in the either Padres ownership or Padres president or something like that with all the money he had made from being an agent. So yeah, I don't know that may have been the thing that put Boris on the map. That'd be an interesting thing to go back on. But certainly A-Rod took baseball salaries to a new level.
Yes.
And when he signed $200 million and $25 a year, people were aghast. I mean, it climbed past anything that anybody thought any professional athlete would be making.
Because also remember, in that era, and, Negro Martinez had toiled for how long in the minors, right? So by the time he got to the majors, he's what age? There were many doing it at Alex's age.
I mean, he came up at 18.
Yeah.
Stuck at 20, right? I mean, he had like a cup of coffee at 18, another one at 19, and then by age 20, again, he's leading the league in stolen bases, batting average, and everything else. So, yeah, I mean, the Julio timeline it's not exact, but it certainly has quite a bit in common with what Alex Rodriguez accomplished so early in his career. And again, as I said, 22 seasons and finishing with an OPS over 930. That is a really, really remarkable number in basically every way. So we're going to talk to A-Rod here in just a moment. He is on the line and just looking for the right spot to sit down with us, and we'll dig into this with him in just a moment. But yeah, I think both Julio and then of course his time here in Seattle, Brock.
Yeah, just it'd be really cool. I know these guys are super, super busy, and it was nice of Kevin to join us yesterday. And these guys just was texting with Alex's assistant, and from what I understand, he will be here any second, as you said, just trying to find a good little connection and some space here. And what is it with years, Salk, and water under the bridge? What would Pete Carroll always say to us when we talked about some of the complicated figures of Pete's past? Like, I'll wait it out. I'll give it time. I know. I'll play the long game, right? Isn't that what Pete would say? I'll play the long game. And the long game tends to be pretty darn positive when you do look back and you realize the impact, man.
That's what we're doing right now. We're playing the long game, tap dancing while we wait for Alex to get to the right spot, wherever he is at probably some big all-star party event, who knows, gathering of everybody. By the way, this is normally when we talk to Jeff Passan. I should point out Jeff will be with us on Thursday. He's at the Baseball Writers Association meetings right now. Jerry DePoto will be with us tomorrow at this time at 8:30, so we'll talk to Jerry about the first half of this season and whether it was a success or not. I saw your poll yesterday. So, yeah, a busy week. And right now, we are going to talk to Alex Rodriguez, who joins us from Texas. Hi, Alex. Good morning.
Hello, guys. How are you?
We're doing good, man. Thank you for doing this, Alex. I don't know how much of this you have done with Seattle Sports Radio. I was telling Salk the story earlier of looking over at the sidelines way back in 1996, my first college start against the Arizona Wildcats. And who was over there? There's Alex Rodriguez over there. And we bumped into each other along the college football trail a few different times at Miami games and everything else. But thanks for taking the time and just kind of right off the bat, man. What do you think of these Seattle Mariners that you've gotten to watch here in 2024?
Well, I like not only this year. I like what they've been doing the last few years. Obviously, they have a flagship player in Julio Rodriguez, J-Rod, who's one of the best in every way, both on and off the field. I love what they're doing with their starting pitching. They have a closer. You love Julio to get going a little bit more, maybe swing a little bit less with a swing and miss and give you a little bit more slugging. But, his past would tell you that he should have a very good second half.
Could you, one of the reasons we really wanted to talk to you was because of Julio and trying to come up with anyone who might understand what his world is like at his young age, with his amount of talent, with his marketability that he has specifically in this city. And there is a lot that screams Alex Rodriguez might understand what Julio's going through. Could you take me inside what you think his world is like right now?
Well, I mean, look, it's when I came up, Brock mentioned 1996. My first year was 94. I was 18, and there was a guy playing center field by the name of Ken Griffey Jr., who was only 24 and was the best player in the world, very much like Michael Jordan of baseball. So, look, the Pacific Northwest was some of my fondest times. I know Julio loves Seattle. I certainly miss the Mariners. The Mariner fans are absolutely best in class. And I think he has a unique opportunity to be a Hall of Fame player, win a championship, and to do it all in one city would be incredible, not only for Julio, but for that great fan base up there.
How do you handle all that is on his plate as that young superstar in this market?
I think being in Seattle helps a lot. I think the fact that you're not in a New York or Boston or LA allows you to grow up at a pace that is conducive for greatness. And I think we've seen that right now with Julio. You stay in the process. You continue to work hard every single day. You avoid the big mistakes. Like, obviously, I made a couple big mistakes in my career that have hurt me tremendously. So, obviously, you want to avoid that. But I spent a lot of my time with the next generation talking about my mistakes and how do you avoid the big mistakes. And, stay focused on the process, not so much on the results. And Julio has an incredible head on his shoulder. He's also very, very smart and centered and humble.
I was looking to see if you had gone through a slump like the one he has for the first half of this year. I couldn't find anything quite like that. Your numbers are really spectacular at the beginning of the entirety of your career. But, right after that 96 season, the next year wasn't as good. Your OPS dropped back by almost 200 points. Do you remember that year? I mean, you still hit 300, so it's not like it was a disaster. But do you remember that year and what it was like and how you, quote unquote, snapped out of it for whatever it's worth?
Yeah, statistic-wise, that was probably the worst year of my career over the course of 20 years. I think I hit 23 home runs and drove in not even 100 runs, I think 84 runs or something. There is something to be said about a little bit of a sophomore slump, and I think that just requires a little bit of re-engineering in your imagination, because as a rookie, they're going to challenge you, and they don't want, in my case, Ken Griffey or Edgar Martinez to beat you. So they're going to be hyper aggressive with me. I made them pay that year, my freshman year, my rookie year. And then sophomore year, the league adjusted to me, and I came back in 98 with the 40-40 season. So 97 in many ways was an adjustment year. It was like tough sophomore year, but I was able to overcome it with, preparation, hard work, and pretty much it.
Did you get help? Because I would think it's got to be hard, especially now with all of the voices that can help. And you've got your hitting coach, you've got your personal hitting coach, and we saw Oswaldo Diaz here a couple weeks ago working with Julio specifically. Everyone has an opinion on what you need to do differently. How do you know who to trust and what to change?
I think that's an impossible question to really answer, but I would say less voices is better. And I would focus on the big three. I know that a lot of these analytics office are going to the direction of numbers and terms we can't even acronyms understand, and almost rewriting history. But I'm going to go back to what I know best. The very best players that I ever saw play were guys like Edgar Martinez, Ken Griffey Jr., and Jay Buhner. And the one thing that all three of them did is they hit for high average, especially the first two, Griffey and Martinez. They hit home runs, they drove in runs, and they scored runs. And to me, those are the four stats that help you win the very most. This idea that batting average doesn't count, I think, is foolish, and I think it's stupid. It doesn't make sense. This idea that swinging and missing doesn't matter, I think is foolish, and I think is also stupid. Edgar Martinez taught me that with two strikes, if you have to choke up, put the ball in play, give yourself a shot, and especially in October when you have elite pitching, swing and miss guys. If you have guys that swing and miss during the season, that doesn't forecast well for October. That means you're going to swing and miss probably 2x than you did during the regular season.
You know the voice if you're a baseball fan, and certainly here in the city of Seattle, you know the voice of Alex Rodriguez. I'm going to go back to something you said about Julio, I think, in your first answer, because I'm sure it piqued the interest of some of our listeners. It piqued mine, Alex, because I was here for all of that extent of your career. And you said for Julio, it would be great to play all in one place, have a career that's all in one city. Is that a reflection a little bit on your past and some of those decisions?
Honestly, look, Brock, I came from, I saw my mother collect food stamps at the age of 12. I came from the very bottom, right? So my hero was my mother. When somebody offers you $252 million, this is not an indictment towards the Mariners or towards me or towards anybody. Look, a kid that comes from the projects, how do you say no to $250 million in the year 2001? Maybe some of your listeners would. I couldn't. I had a responsibility to my mother, to my family, and it was a decision I'm proud of, even though I missed Seattle tremendously. I had tremendous stability there. Fanfare was incredible. And, I'm disappointed that things ended the way they did, and I hope that one day, with new ownership now and management, which I have a very good relationship with, I'm a big supporter of the Mariners. I follow them closely on TV. Obviously, the guys that do your TV work are really, really good. And I hope that one day I get to come back and celebrate, at least thank the great fans of the Mariners for what they did for me.
Is there anything about that decision and that moment that people don't know about that you wish they did?
No, I mean, look, they were just outbid by, almost a few $100 million. It's hard. It's funny. It's just that that's the time. I look at the bigger contracts that you're seeing in the NFL, in the NBA, and Major League Baseball, and today they're celebrated. When I got that deal, and Brock, you remember, I mean, I was like, pariah, 101. I was like the epitome of greed. And I thought that was unfortunate. And in many ways, maybe I think Kevin Garnett and myself were a little bit ahead of the curve, where we were villains instead of heroes. Today, when players sign big contracts, they're like heroes, and that's kind of a cool thing.
How about as we fast forward to hitting today? You mentioned some of those things, and old Rick Riz is still up in that broadcast booth, spinning it, doing an amazing job, and you'll hear Ricky talk about hitting it the other way, right, and choking up, because he made those calls with the great Dave Niehaus, with Edgar Martinez for all of those years. Hitting in today's baseball, Alex, how, as you sit and watch it on a night-to-night basis, and we'll watch it tonight in the All-Star game, How do you hit in 2024?
I think the biggest issue, Brock, is how the game is being taught. I think the players today have never been more talented. The youth in the game is just incredible. And I know it sounds cliche, like we always say this is the best group of young players, but my goodness, 38 what I call freshmen at the All-Star game, first-timers. And I'll never forget my first All-Star game in 1996. I was 19 years old. I see my hero, Cal Ripken, across the way. He gives me a big hug. He welcomes me to the All-Star. Now, one thing is to be part of 750 players in the big leagues when I came up. The other part is to be one of 50, one of 60 at the All-Star game. That's a whole other validation, another level. And I know that when I left Philadelphia, an old veteran stadium there, with the hot turf in Philly, I left like a new player, and I finished that year in '96 where I ended up second in the MVP and won my first batting title. I think a lot of it because of the confidence I gained from the All-Star game. But how the game is being taught today is they are actually making it very kosher to swing and miss. And when I came up under Lou Piniella, Griffey, Edgar Martinez, Joey Cora, it was vital to make contact. It was vital to be a good two-strike hitter. We actually took the leadoff hitter today, Quan from the Cleveland Guardians, is hitting 310 with two strikes. The league is hitting 150. If you're hitting 150 with two strikes, Lou Piniella will call you in his office at the old Kingdom and say, young man, you're driving 45 minutes to Tacoma. And if you're hitting 240 or 250, under 250, you're going to Tacoma. I see guys getting, 10 years extension, hitting 210, and I really honestly can't comprehend that.
Okay, so let me dig into that, because for years, Moneyball sort of changed the way we looked at numbers, obviously, specifically the way we looked at on base percentage compared to batting average. Do you think there is a path back to paying more attention to stats that have been sort of passed over by the next generation of people making decisions and teaching the game?
Yes, I do. There's a path back, and I think we're on our way back. In many ways, industries, businesses, anything, the politics, no matter what the main themes are, I think there's a sense of over-adjusting, and the pendulum goes too far to the right. That's exactly what happened in baseball with this whole kind of fever of Billy Beane and Moneyball. But the one dirty little secret that everyone forgot about Moneyball is the three pitchers, right? Is Hudson, is Mulder, and is Zito. That's really and Corey Lido, who was in before, who unfortunately, passed away, the late Corey Lido, who was also a very, very solid number 4 pitcher. It wasn't the hitting. I played against those teams, in the West, basically my first 10 years, and it had nothing to do with the hitting. It had all to do with the big three. And so that was a little bit of a misleading case study. But you're seeing veteran managers like Dusty Baker, Bruce Bochy coming back into the game. You're seeing teams that are making more contact and having starting pitching going to the 6th and 7th inning. This nonsense of swinging and missing and a quality start being 4 innings and 1, 4 1/3, 3 2/3. It's nonsense. You cannot win a championship like that. And I believe that two things are evergreen in sports that forever will be true. You need dominant, strong starting pitching that can get you to the 6th or 7th inning, because in a month of October, when you have 10 or 11 guys in the bullpen, you're going to wear those guys down. By the middle of October, all those arms are hanging. And the other part is you need to make contact. The only way you can win in October, you got to put pressure on the defense. You got to move the ball forward. 90 feet is a premium. And this nonsense where you're always playing for the long ball, I think, what happens when you go for the long ball, you have a lot of strikeouts and a lot of losses.
Well, if the Mariners are to win a World Series and get to a World Series, Alex, something they've not been able to do, they've got that first box checked pretty darn well. They've got some of the most dominant pitching, number 1 in WHIP in all of baseball, young frontline starters that are the envy of most organizations. The second box, they do have to check. So if Justin and Jerry are on the phone and reach out to Alex Rodriguez and say, hey, man, you see all these guys all across the league. If you could add a bat or two to this lineup over the next couple weeks, is there a guy or two in baseball that you would see in a Mariners uniform that could maybe help this fan base get to that World Series?
Well, I don't think Jerry and that ownership up there needs my help. I think Jerry's one of the best great minds of baseball. He's doing a fantastic job. Look, there's never a perfect thing. You have budgets. You have to architect the team. You have a 40-man roster. It's much harder than we make it sound here in a radio interview, and I certainly cannot do Jerry's job. But you need Julio to be Julio, and I believe he will. And then you need to complement him with players that, you need more hitters hitting, 270 and above. A team hitting, sub 240 is probably not going to do it. You need more pressure, you need more contact, you need more speed, and you need to put runs on the board. And you're right. They have the first and most important element of a championship title team is strong pitching with a hell closer. You have a superstar in center field. Now you got to just build around them a little bit. And the good news is I think guys that make contact and hit for high average, not necessarily home runs, are not only gettable but also affordable.
Because the league doesn't value them, as we were just talking about. Yeah,
that's right.
It'll be an interesting path forward. I do have to confess, Alex, that I think you might owe. I grew up in Boston. I should have stated that before we started the interview.
I'm now
telling you this. I did. I grew up in Boston.
You buried the lead.
I did. I know, and I'm sorry. But I think you might owe my parents some dishes and maybe glasses. I will, just if you won't mind, taking you back to October of 2004. When the Red Sox were leading Game 6 and there was a play at first base and the ball got away. And my dad, I was sitting with my dad at the moment. I was 26 years old. He got up, took his dinner plate and glass from the living room where we were watching, went into the kitchen, threw both of them into the sink, breaking everything in the sink, and screaming about how this team had done this to him every year of his life and how he was done forever and he hated the Yankees and the Red Sox were the worst thing that had ever happened to him, only to have my mom and I keep watching and, horrified, stunned silence, and eventually turn and be like, Dad, they're getting together and they're overruling the call. And he had to sheepishly come back in and all red-faced and embarrassed and now having ruined his sink and glasses and dishes and everything else. So I guess I want to say you owe him some glasses, but at the other hand, you really kind of gave me a great story that I've told for years. So I just got to say thank you for that moment, if you don't mind.
Well, you're welcome. And I got to tell you the second part of that story. I did exactly what your dad did that night at home when I got home. So we got a lot of glasses broken on both homes, but for different reasons.
Those
Alex,
games took over 5.5 hours, Brock. Can you imagine playing a baseball game that was 5 hours and 45 minutes long?
No, especially not today. Hey, last thing, Alex, thank you for the generosity of time and jumping on with us as well. Can I just give you one last platform to speak to these Mariner fans? I have said it, the 12s in Seattle are amazing. The football team and the Super Bowl, it was amazing. The parade was remarkable. But, having grown up here and been a fan since I was born in 1976 and watching the 90s and the early 2000s, and I told Salk, man, you just wait, 45,000 just rock this place every single night for this team. If you could say, and you've alluded to these great fans, and Julio alludes to these great fans, what makes these Mariners fans so great? And I guess I'll just give you one last chance to kind of speak to them.
Yeah, I think, Brock, is just the fan base over there. They're very special. They're one of one. They're also passionate. They're also very smart. They're very loyal. The fact is that, the Seattle Mariners are not just the Seattle, Washington fan base. It's the whole Pacific Northwest and including parts of Vancouver and some of Canada. So it's an enormous fan base. They do tremendous TV numbers. The loyalty is very sticky. And again, I wish that one day I have an opportunity to go up there with my daughters and thank them. And I still think about my number 3 jersey that I wear and is so special to me. Is where I started my career. Is who drafted me. Roger Youngward drafted me number 1 in 1993 after he drafted Ken Griffey number 1 in 1986. I thought we had some of the most fun, exciting teams. It builds a lot of young people's memories, Brock, like yourself. And from the bottom of my heart, I just want to say a big thank you and good luck and go get a championship this year.
And some really nice response from our listeners here. Zach says, respect for Alex just went up substantially. I loved everything he said. Thank you, says another. Being a youth baseball coach, this hits home. Thank you, A-Rod. Keep preaching. Others saying, I've never resented A-Rod for leaving. Some saying I did, and this changed my view of it. So thanks. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for your comments, and hopefully we can do this again.
Hey, guys, and if you get up to, the finals, World Series or before the World Series, we'll be up there with Fox, and maybe we'll tee it up and do it in person.
Let's hope that happens. Sounds good. There's
From
Alex
your-
Rodriguez. Yeah,
what's
from
that-
your
what do
mouth
they
to
say? From
God's
your
ears.
lips
Let's
to
see if we
God's
can
ears.
make that happen. There goes Alex
Thanks,
Rodriguez, kind enough to join us there for some time and reflection on his time here in Seattle, why he left, how he left, and kind of where the game is at right now. We'll be back with a whole bunch more. You want to do that next and bump? Let's talk about what we just heard, and then we'll come back to our Seahawks Intriguing Countdown at 9:30. Stick around. We got a lot left to do. It's Brock and Salk Sales Sports on 710.
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy.
What is the single best thing that this organization has ever done?
I think hiring Pete Carroll as their head coach. I think that set in motion the greatest era of Seahawks football we've ever experienced.
Every subsequent thing that I loved was a byproduct of hiring Pete Carroll. Those connections he still had to USC and local recruiting trails brought in a lot of those gems that he found in the 5th round, and I don't want to discredit John from doing that as well. Pete Carroll, though, hired John Schneider.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
The Bite is back. The Bite of Seattle returns to Seattle Center, July 19th through the 21st. Over 250 delicious food and retail vendors, plus games and live music. Admission is free. Enjoy a Seattle summer tradition at the Bite of Seattle with delectable multicultural cuisine, live entertainment, and fun for everyone. Under new management, cash and card payments are accepted by all vendors. Taking over Seattle Center July 19th through the 21st. Come to the Bite, biteofseattle.com.
At State Roofing, you can trust us to get your project done right because we prioritize quality and excellence in everything we do. Take advantage of 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest today, and don't pay until 2025. Call State Roofing at 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com.
America's favorite car show returns to Washington State with a jam-packed weekend of cool cars, cool people, and good times. It's the Good Guys 36th Griot's Garage Pacific Northwest National. And it's all going down July 26th through the 28th at the Washington State Fair Event Center in Puyallup. Cruise on out and check out over 2,500 of the country's coolest classics. And don't miss the tire smoking burnout competition, Nitro Thunderfest, live music, family fun, Friday night vintage drags at Pacific Raceways in Kent, and so much more. It's Washington's biggest hot rodding party of the summer, July 26th through the 28th at Puyallup. Details at good-guys.com.
Are you putting off your new kitchen plans? Why wait? Hi, I'm Chad Cicchini, owner of Heritage Homecraft, and we've got an offer you're not going to want to wait for. We'll custom build you all new cabinet doors and drawer fronts, and using our exclusive 1/4-inch solid wood refacing process, transform your existing cabinets into a beautiful new kitchen. Stop waiting. We're having a trade-in sale. You'll save $30 per door and drawer front off the cost of your new kitchen. Count them up and see how much you'll save. Heritage Homecraft, 425-485-1600 or heritagehomecraft.com.
Hey, it's Amanda. With King LASIK, you can ditch the glasses and contacts and get LASIK from the Northwest's most experienced team. King LASIK has performed over 250,000 procedures. And this month, save $1,000. Start with a free Zoom consult at kinglasik.com.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Don't miss limited time doorbusters during Pro Savings Days right now at Lowe's. Starting July 15th for 3 days only, you can save $60 when you buy a DeWalt 12-volt multi-head drill driver. Was $189, now $129. Plus, get 50% off a DeWalt Tough Grip 110-piece screwdriver bit set. Shop these deals and more while supplies last. Because Lowe's knows savings, Lowe's knows pros. Valid 7/15 through 7/17. Selection varies by location.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for up to half the cost. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single line 1, 5, and 10 gig data plans with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plans offered by T-Mobile and Verizon January 2024.
Febreze.
So my home is also my office. And before I can focus, every room's gotta be clean. That means tidying up and spraying my Febreze Air Mist. Ooh, that's fresh. Febreze Air Mist scents are all high quality. They fight any weird funk, and they give my air an instant boost of freshness. So not only does my home smell good, I feel good too. After I Febreze, it's time to start my day.
Breathe happy, Febreze.
breeze. La 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 la.
At Shane Company, we'll help you design an engagement ring as unique as your love story. We have the widest selection of diamonds and gemstones for you to choose from, and you can compare them side by side right here in our store. Only at Shane Company can you sift through exquisite diamonds, rubies, and a rainbow of sapphires in a variety of shapes and sizes. We'll help you create your dream engagement ring no matter your price range. Choose the ring setting that speaks to your style, from classic to modern to vintage. We offer so many ways to personalize your ring. Pick your favorite center stone, add a decorative crown and a custom engraving, or select a perfectly preset ring that's ready to go. At Shane Company, our jewelers know how much your ring means to you. They hand-set each center stone with precision and pride in our jeweler's workshop, so you can feel confident knowing your ring is crafted with the greatest care and comes with an unmatched free lifetime warranty that lets you know we'll always be here for you. Your love story deserves to shine bright. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Give me a freaking auto!
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Brock and Salk on Seattle Sports.
Brock Ewert is my hero.
Jay Buhner just punched me in the kidney.
Brought to you by Simply Seattle.
We're going to cue you on the interview.
Doesn't really work that way, Sherm. This is a show that has my name on it.
It kind of does, though.
Now here are your hosts, Brock Ewert and Mike Salk.
Well, Alex Rodriguez with about 20 minutes there here on Seattle Sports. As far as I know, the first interview he's done on the radio in Seattle. I know he's spent some time, as we mentioned earlier, with Larry Stone. Seattle Times wrote a column about 5 years ago with some quotes from Alex, but a chance to hear from him and hear the tone in his voice and all of it. And for the most part, just reading through the texts, you guys are pretty convinced. I didn't want to like Alex Rodriguez so much, but it sounds like he has big regrets and is passing along his knowledge, says the 206. Preach, Alex, says the 253. I've never for the life of me understood the A-Rod hate, even back then. Others saying, excellent interview. I love the way time can heal all wounds as we, as people live in, learn as we grow. He redeemed himself. LOL.
Play the long game. You play the long game over time, Salk. And then especially, I think, in A-Rod's case where, I mean, he said it to us. Like, I made some big mistakes. I speak to players about that today. I made some big mistakes. Like, he was so unbelievably talented, as you read off those numbers, coming up at 18 years of age, right? It's sticking at 20 and having Griffey in the outfield, and he didn't have to do what some of those others had to do, right? I think that's probably the mistake that he would admit to. Like, the same thing's been said about Barry Bonds. Like, you really didn't need to do that, bro. Like, you were so unbelievably talented to begin with. But when everybody else is doing it in the league, and it's such a competitive league and everything else, I mean, that's a whole different conversation for another day. But to hear, I think, from him and to speak to those memories in Seattle and what he and the kid had, Salk, and you've got to understand, at the top of last hour, you asked me to go in the history machine a little bit. You've got to understand where the Mariners were from like 76 to the late 80s. Like, it was hard. It was hard to be a fan, right? I mean, it was just not to compete against the teams, and the inability to compete, the inability to have a winning season, just to get a winning season, as Alvin Davis said, or who Jay Buhner said, like, just to get a winning season was like, oh. And then to make the run in 95, and then to add Alex, and then to just build upon all of this, the fever pitch in this city for baseball, the love for baseball that he was a huge, huge part of.
Yeah, the other thing that kind of jumps out to me, so if you didn't hear the interview, a couple interesting points from Alex Rodriguez. Certainly in talking about baseball, he said very clearly, you got to start paying attention to some of the old school stats. On forgetting about some of the new stuff, just look at batting average, runs scored, RBI,
two-strike
hitting. Some interesting conversation that I think we can come back to tomorrow. In terms of Julio, he did seem to understand the league adjusting to him and coming after him, and had shared some of the same sophomore slump, but thinks Julio can get through it by paying attention to some of those old school stats and not thinking about power, thinking about batting average, thinking about those types of things instead. You also heard him say that, hey, look, I grew up poor. They offered me a ton of money. What was I going to do? And it was a huge gap in money. there's an inkling, and I understand some of the text saying, hey, well, then the Mariners let him go. They got outbid by $200 million. And I think the answer is, I don't think anybody in the world thought the Rangers were going to spend that much money on a baseball player.
Mm-hmm.
They outbid everybody by $200 million, and I think everyone was shocked when it happened.
Including the New York Yankees at that time.
Absolutely. So it changed the market. It changed everything. Nobody thought a baseball player would be worth it. And there is a question as to whether he was worth it in Texas, where they never won while he was there.
Mm-hmm.
The last thing I heard him say, though, a couple of times, and I think it's worth noting, is that he would like to be back at T-Mobile.
See that number 3 jersey?
Yeah. He would like to be remembered and have a different relationship with this organization. And I don't know enough of the history to tell you why he hasn't. I'm sure some of that is because of the relationship with the fans and the way he left, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that sounded to me like a little bit of open campaigning for, hey, I would like to mend fences. I would like to be back in the fold with the Mariners, and I'd like to have my number retired there.
Never forget where it all starts.
Do you think that could happen?
Oh, that's well above our pay grade, Salky. Yeah.
Well, if you were asked as a consultant, would you want Alex Rodriguez to be back in the fold, and then specifically to have his number retired here in Seattle? It's not like Randy Johnson and Ken Griffey Jr. left on incredible terms, right? Both were traded after essentially asking to be. Jr. left twice, was traded once, and drove out of town in the middle of the night the second time. So, and that's never a problem, right? That gets mended. So could it be mended with Alex Rodriguez? His numbers in Seattle during his 7 years here total are absurd.
Yep.
He has a 934 OPS in this ball in playing here. That's insane. I know some of that was at the Kingdome, but are you kidding me? A 934 OPS. He hit 309 in Seattle with a 374 on base and a 561 slugging percentage. I mean, say those numbers out loud. They sound stupid in today's version of the game. But I did hear him really angling to try to get back in the fold in Seattle.
Yeah, I'm trying. It's just a hard one for me to answer because I just don't know all. And none of us really do, right? None of us know all that went on behind the scenes or what followed or any of the other and how the animus was created and everything else. But yeah, there's no question that he was one of your organization's all-time greats. Even if it was 7 years, it was at age 18, 24, 25, doing things that only one other guy that patrolled center field, could ever do with the ease with which he did it.
You two get a lot of grief, but that was a terrific interview.
Oh, really, we get a lot of grief?
Some, maybe one of you do.
I don't know if we do. I mean, that doesn't seem like the right word to use.
We give you a lot of grief. That was a fantastic interview. You guys did very, very good.
Oh, well, thank you, Justin. Much appreciated.
He did really good. He was opinionated. He was insightful. He was looking back at the past, right? He didn't just say, I don't want to talk about that. He went down that road. He we said, was the one that could talk about Julio Rodriguez and have some perspective on it. So honestly, kudos for almost 20 minutes of Alex opening himself up, right? And sharing that past along with some pretty tremendous insight that, hey, man, the data guys today will say, well, add him to John Smoltz, add him to these guys yelling at the clouds, add him to these old ball players that don't understand the kind of stuff you're seeing today. Right? I mean, that's the one thing that
we'll talk more about that tomorrow. I think the one thing he said that I don't totally agree with everything he said there. But the one thing I do agree with is the overcorrection, course corrections.
Correct.
I think that part happens quite a bit. So let's talk more about that tomorrow. We'll give you everything you need to know next. We'll go through the number 19 most intriguing Seahawk at 9:30. We'll rank at 9:45. It's Brock and Salk, Seattle Sports on 710, seattlesports.com.
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy.
Stacy, we just talked to Trevor Sikkema about the best offseason move for the Seahawks, and he had Mike McDonald's hire as that. But what was the best offseason move for Seattle outside of that hire?
I would have chosen Mike McDonald as well. My second best would just be continuing to address the trenches, particularly the defensive line, which they did in the draft at number 16, taking Byron Murphy. I think that outside of hiring Mike McDonald, focusing on their needs and then actually doing something about it was, I think, the best move that they made.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
I know many of you, and you hear me say this and ask you this question an awful lot. Have you been with the same insurance agent, carrier? So I don't even have to ask that rhetorical question. The answer is the definitive yes, because many of you were like Molly and I just don't want to go down that road. I just don't want to deal with the stress and the confusion of insurance. I just don't have the time to handle it. But you're super frustrated at your premiums going through the roof and not really understanding your insurance needs. That is where First Mark Insurance comes to play. And the First Mark Challenge victories that have saved people so much money time and again over the years. Molly and I decided, you know what, enough's enough. Let's take this challenge. It's totally free, and they do all the heavy lifting and work anyway. Here's how First Mark goes to work for you. They analyze your coverage, making sure you're not overpaying for the wrong coverage. And heck, if you got the right coverage at the right price, they'll tell you that too. But more than likely, you don't. And that's where all of their relationships and all their time on task over 30 plus years in the business help thousands of families, including mine, successfully manage the complicated world of insurance. So don't wait a morning longer. Take the First Mark Challenge. It's totally free, and you might be the next First Mark Challenge victory. Just go to firstmarkinsurance.com. It's all there waiting for you. They're your teammates, firstmarkinsurance.com.
Endless hours of research, seeking referrals, dozens of calls. Hiring the right attorney can be a challenging process during an already difficult time. JP Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains.
In Washington State, Tom, there are thousands of attorneys to choose from. Referrals and online research can be helpful, but discovering the right attorney requires a conversation. It can be hard to identify integrity and authenticity without that interaction.
So, what do you recommend?
We encourage anyone looking for personal injury representation to call for a free consultation with our team before making a decision simply based on referrals or online research. Accident victims need an attorney that listens, demonstrates honesty, and is genuinely understanding of their unique circumstances. The care, attention, and preparation that our firm provides throughout the case mirrors the effort involved when taking on the insurance companies.
Save time and avoid mistakes after an injury. Contact the caring and compassionate team at Pendergast Law.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
Summer's here, and it's time for you to put yourself in the game. But you don't have to do it alone. Come visit the incredible showroom and the all-star team at Toyota of Kirkland. With a large selection of over 70 brand new Tundras and Tacomas on the lot, you'll be able to test drive one and take it home the same day. And don't forget about that lifetime powertrain warranty. Now that's how you become the MVP. Come in today or visit online at toyotaofkirkland.com. toyotaofkirkland.com.
O'Brien.
Ooh, ma. What was that? That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud Phone System. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs.
You sound very...
Calm? I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Nice. Find your business calm at ooma.com/radio.
The light is fading, your hands are sore, and the last tool has been put away. Now is the time to feel the satisfaction that comes with a job well done. But when you get your tools from Harbor Freight, something about the job feels a little different. Your wallet. Because we believe that everyone deserves hardworking tools at hardworking prices. And that's what we have here. So, whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight.
Listen throughout the week to the Mariners Players Spotlight.
Give props to Jerry and Justin. They did a great job bringing in these good group of guys.
Presented by Muckleshoot Casino Resort.
I saw her texting coming up to a stop sign, and so I saw the accident coming, and she T-boned us.
In the blink of an eye, Crystal's life changed when she suffered a severe spinal injury.
The pain was something I had never experienced before in my neck. I got massage therapy. I saw a chiropractor. I was prescribed muscle relaxers so I could sleep. I got depressed. Nothing was relieving the pain.
Drugs, sleepless nights, and depression. Sound familiar? I'm Dr. Mark Shelley, a chiropractic physician and board-certified functional neurologist. At Sound Pain Solutions, our treatments include high-dose laser combined with spinal decompression and other comprehensive therapies to rehabilitate damaged discs. We use treatments that are non-surgical, FDA-cleared, drug and pain-free.
I was able to get off my pain medicines, and I was able to sleep through the night, and that was what I was desperate for.
To learn if you're a candidate for our treatment, call us. Sound Pain Solutions, 855-996-3536, or click soundpainsolutions.com.
Raid wants to know, what would you do if you could confidently face every day knowing you and your loved ones are protected? would you sing along to your favorite song at the top of your lungs? Turn off the GPS and let your heart do the guiding. Go to the drive-thru and order one of everything. Feel the buzz of confidence of knowing you are protected with 65 years of insect science in your hands. Raid. Protection for everyone.
You go into your shower feeling, but as soon as you reach for the Irish Spring, your day immediately gets better. That crisp, fresh, unmistakable Irish Spring scent zings your brain and awakens your senses. So when you finally emerge from the shower, 37 minutes later, because you pay the water bill so you can stay in there as long as you want, you're ready to take on the day and smell great doing it. Irish Spring Body Wash and Bar Soap. Fresh, green, Irish. Shop now at Walmart.
Need to know.
15 minutes past every hour with Brock and Salk.
Here's what you need to know. Up first.
Well, the All-Star break is a time for reflection. Certainly, the Mariners are doing that as they think about how they can improve in the next couple of weeks. Last night, Teoscar Hernandez, former Mariner, won the home run derby. Kudos to Teo. Today, Brock, we had the opportunity to speak with Alex Rodriguez, and yeah, a lot jumps out. He talked about Julio and what he can do in this time, third year in his career, to try to get himself back on track. He talked about where the game is at in general, and he talked specifically about the decision to leave Seattle and go to Texas.
You know, honestly, look, Brock, I came from, I saw my mother collect food stamps at the age of 12. I came from the very bottom, right? So my hero was my mother. When somebody offers you $252 million, this is not an indictment towards the Mariners or towards me or towards anybody. Look, a kid that comes from the projects, how do you say no to $250 million in the year 2001? Maybe some of your listeners would. I couldn't. I had a responsibility to my mother, to my family, and it was a decision I'm proud of, even though I miss Seattle tremendously. I had tremendous stability there. Fanfare was incredible.
He went on to say that at his time, he was killed for that. And these days, athletes are celebrated for the amount of money that they get. And maybe it took some people like him to change some of that mentality.
Yeah, and I'm going to guess there's some on that text toy that are going to, remind everybody and say, hey, hold on a second. If you just never would have said you want to be a Mariner for life, if you never would have said it's not about the money, then you know what? It'd have been maybe a little different history. Yeah. A little, maybe that was one of the mistakes that he talked about as well. Some of the mistakes that he didn't make in the game, and not turning down or that kind of $250 million. What would that be in today's dollars, by the way?
I don't even want to think about it. A lot more than it was 2 years ago. I can tell you that much. Inflation has gone up a little bit. So anyway, A-Rod, you can hear that entire interview at seattlesports.com or, of course, by downloading the Seattle Sports app.
Here's the second thing you need to know.
Mariners went pitchers and catchers in the first 9 rounds of the draft. They finally grabbed an outfielder in the 10th round. 7 pitchers, 1 catcher, and 1 guy who does both. He's a pitcher and a catcher. Sounds like he's maybe more of a catcher, though. He hits really well, so that may be where he ends up. But very clearly trying to address the fact that their organization right now in the farm system level leans very, very heavily towards the hitting side of things. Obviously, the major league roster doesn't look quite like that.
Yeah, and I think it is 6 college pitchers as well. Right, the difference between taking an 18-year-old, I'll take a look at this, but I think it is. Obviously, your first 2 was the second rounder was the high school kid, and you mentioned this yesterday, man. They paid way, in a good way, over slot to go get that one done. But it's been majority, I think he is the lone high school pitcher. So it has been a lot of college arms, a lot of guys that have had some success, a few whose numbers you look at and go, what? How was that kid, Brock, out of Oregon, drafted with top 7 rounds with a 5.8 ERA? Because he's 6'6", 220 and throws absolute nitro. So you take that kind of clay, you mold it, you develop it in a way that the Mariners over the last 7-8 years with Jerry and Pete Woodworth and their entire pitching operation have done at a level that, most are very envious of.
Here's the third thing you need to know.
And then finally, as we shift gears with rookies reporting for training camp tomorrow, veterans report, next week? So rookies get an extra week here with the coaching staff. It's still the end of list season, and ESPN has been going through on a day-to-day basis and going through each position group and giving a top 10 according to what they learned from coaches, executives, and scouts. Seahawks are not doing particularly well in the top 10 list. They still are yet to have anyone crack the top 10. I don't think that will happen at linebacker. We'll see maybe at corner, or at wide receiver, but it certainly didn't happen at quarterback yesterday, as Geno Smith was not one of the top 10, not one of those receiving votes, not one of the honorable mentions, just not mentioned.
Yeah, that one's a little more difficult for me, mostly because come on now. Would you rather have Geno Smith or Kyler Murray in 2024 leading your organization?
I would rather have Geno Smith.
Yeah, I would as well. But by the way, you and Justin should not be bothered by this at all, by the way. Why would you say this is not doing so well? Like when you do ranked, you go down to like 45,
right.
45th song. So everybody should know it's about volume. It's about depth.
Well,
it's not just about a top 5.
But he didn't make the honorable mention. That's just being straight up forgotten about. And for those wondering, we went through it earlier. I was curious as to whether he actually blocked me. Yes, he blocked me.
Of course.
Yes, I was able to determine he blocked me.
Of course he did.
Yeah, he did. That's everything
It
you
very
need to know.
clearly said Geno Smith blocked you.
Yes, it does. It's pretty clear. I've been blocked.
So you were rooting for Teo? Without a doubt. Like when you got down to the finals there?
Dude, I love Teo.
I was a little torn. Witt's got some
You didn't
juice
like
to him.
Teo at all.
I had a hard time watching Teo.
You were not a Teo fan.
Well, the swing and miss was just a wee bit difficult.
You couldn't
for yours
handle
truly.
Teo.
Yeah,
Brock will complain about Teo on our text line like I complained about that national anthem last night.
It's true.
5 of the 7 months were a little bit rough. I'm not going to lie.
Overall numbers were not bad.
Yeah, 5 of the 7 months were a little rough.
Overall numbers, not terrible.
I know. At the end of the day, and certainly I was thinking about our interview with him in the spring, and so many of these Mariners, right, that are gracious with us, and we get to sit down when we're down there for the week, and you could just see the joy. That guy plays with joy.
Yeah.
Not quite like Julio.
He was an especially nice guy, though.
He really
we
was.
meet a lot of really nice dudes when we do that.
Mm-hmm.
I think he stood out to us, though. He was an especially nice guy.
Yeah, and so cool to see his wife down there, and just a good dude, man. I like family, so I like seeing the wife down there celebrating
Obviously.
with him.
Yeah, you don't see that every day either.
No, you don't. And you could also see, I think, the joy that the other competitors had for him winning it, right?
Yeah.
Like one of these dudes that's grinded, wanted to be a part of this,
Julio.
wanted to win this thing.
Julio was tweeting about it right away and excited for his former teammate. And I do think, he's one of the guys that everyone likes around the league. And so good for him. He wins the home run derby yesterday. Why do you think Geno? I'm sorry, I'm stuck on this. Why do you think he blocked me?
I don't know. I was going to ask you a question for Julio in the All-Star game.
Okay.
Alex was talking about going to the All-Star game and leaving and feeling so validated and different and like he belonged.
Yep.
Do you think there's any opposite of that of Julio watching it on TV?
Feeling like, oh my God, I've been part of this the last few years.
100,000%.
How could it not?
Yeah.
Yeah, FOMO. I mean, that's like the world's worst FOMO. Like all of the best players are gathered. These are my buddies. These are my peers, and I'm at home. Yeah, I would think he's definitely thinking about that.
Your rookie year and put on a show, and you did it your second year and put on a show, and now you're not invited to the party. You would have to imagine that puts a little extra fuel into the series that begins on Friday with the Houston Astros.
Yeah. All right. Well, a couple more days here before the Mariners get underway. We will have the All-Star game tonight, and you can hear it on our air here at Seattle Sports. Coming up next, Brock, we have to move it a little bit in order to react to A-Rod, but we are on to number 19 in our most intriguing Seahawks countdown. I wish that this guy was higher, but also I wish he was lower. I'll explain next on Brock and Salk.
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy.
Stacy, we just talked to Trevor Sikkema about the best offseason move for the Seahawks, and he had Mike Macdonald's hire as that. But what was the best offseason move for Seattle outside of that hire?
I would have chosen Mike Macdonald as well. My second best would just be continuing to address the trenches, particularly the defensive line, which they did in the draft at number 16, taking Byron Murphy. I think that outside of hiring Mike Macdonald, focusing on their needs and then actually doing something about it was, I think, the best move that they made.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Hey, Mike Salk here. Always excited to brag about my dudes over at Riverside Roofing because they just closed this huge roofing project on the east side. I'm proud, of course, but honestly, I'm not very surprised. It speaks to the trust and the reputation that Riverside Roofing has established throughout this market. Their exceptional work, honesty and the positive word of mouth. That's why I always say they are the roofing company you can trust. They can also handle any job. I've seen it with my own two eyes. They worked on my home, did a great job there. They're also certified Tesla roof installer. So if that's a direction you want to go, Riverside can help with that. Go to riversideroofingllc.com. You can get a free quick quote there. It won't even take you 60 seconds. But don't wait, honestly, because the summer really is the busy time for roofers, and you want to get your project scheduled now. Consider Riverside Roofing for your roofing project this summer. They're family-owned. They serve all of Western Washington, and they offer veterans discounts as well. You can find them at riversideroofingllc.com, the roofing company you can trust.
Paid political announcement. A Bob for Bob update. Public transparency is for other Bobs. Did you know Attorney General Bob Ferguson's office averaged 80 days to respond to public records requests? 78 days more than the average Washington government office. Can you afford that type of response from your governor as a Washington voter? You heard it here first. Bob wants you to vote Bob because he doesn't have time to respond to you. Paid for by the Bob for Bob Committee, 1283 Puyallup, Washington, 98371. Top 4 donors, Steve Gordon, Fremont Dock Company, Brian Haywood, and Susie Burke.
Everyone always asks me, what were your top reasons for choosing Advanced Hair? Well, allow me to share, along with some details, on, get this, their once-a-year summer savings event. Okay, first off, Advanced Hair stands by the results, and I'm living proof those results are second to none. With Advanced Hair, your own natural hair is guaranteed to grow. Secondly, Advanced Hair combines top-rated physicians with modern technology, creating a concierge quality experience that blew away my expectations. And lastly, Advanced Hair's Advanced FUE begins regrowing your own natural hair the very next day. It is quick, simple, and easy. Now, if you have a flexible schedule this summer and you've been waiting for that special savings opportunity, well, it's here. Advanced Hair's summer savings event will get you the most hair for your dollar. It's their best offer ever. For details to schedule your free consultation, call 425-449-8185. One-day treatment, life-changing results. Your new hair is guaranteed to grow. Before and after pictures at advancedhair.com.
You're free now. Free to fill your feed with impossibly chunky chonkers who chunk harder than you ever thought possible.
Cats, corgis, babies, baby penguins, baby pandas, chunky baby pandas.
Free to make your smart devices do silly things. Free to open a world of remote work and a portal into Gametopia.
Who's the boss now?
Free to be everything you imagine, and then some. That's how it feels to have Quantum Fiber Internet. Quantum Fiber, your world unleashed. Learn more at quantumfiber.com. Limited availability, service in select locations only.
Bonneville International radio station contests are open to participants 18 years of age or older that are residents of Washington State unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contests are not eligible to win unless the station otherwise specifies at its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 60 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available on seattlesports.com or in person at the station during regular business hours.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Watch your favorite show live at seattlesports.com.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer, he hears things differently. To the untrained ear, everything on his shop floor might sound fine, but he can hear gears grinding or a belt slipping. So he steps in to fix the problem at hand before it gets out of hand. And he knows Grainger's got the right product he needs to get the job done, which is music to his ears. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The best things in life, they come in twos. 2 scoops of ice cream, 2 tacos. And now for a limited time, get our best deal of the year. Buy any phone when you switch to Consumer Cellular and get 2 months of service free. That's right, the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage as Big Wireless, now with 2 months free. Proof the best things in life really do come in twos. Visit consumercellular.com or call 1-888-FREEDOM. Second and third month of monthly base service fee waived for new customers with the purchase of a phone and activation by July 31st, 2024. Taxes, fees, and third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Tired of spending endless hours on lawn care? Switch to Synthetic Turf Northwest, the Northwest's leader in quality synthetic turf products and professional installation. With 28 years of experience, we're your trusted source in Seattle, Tacoma, and Bellevue. Ask about our 18-month no-interest financing and how you can beat the heat and save up to $1,000 off your project now through July 31st. Start enjoying a beautiful, low-maintenance lawn today. SyntheticTurfNorthwest.com, 425-788-0718. Stop stressing about your lawn and start enjoying it.
trucks, pickups, and more SUVs. You want a better selection of dependable new and pre-owned trucks? Well, you've got it when you visit Chevrolet Buick GMC of Puyallup or Chevrolet of Everett, part of the Harnish Auto family. You simply won't find a better experience when buying your next truck. Plus, enjoy oil changes and powertrain warranty for life on all new vehicles, taking care of you for over 4 decades. Check out the outstanding selection from the Harnish Auto family, Chevrolet of Everett and Chevrolet Buick GMC of Puyallup. A better experience.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Brock and Salk.
Weekdays 6 to 10
on Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Let's see. Ranked coming up in 15 minutes, of course. Everything got a little messed up timing-wise this morning because of the Alex Rodriguez interview, and we want an opportunity to react to that. If you missed the interview, obviously we'll play it tomorrow morning at 6:30, but also you can go to seattlesports.com. It'll be up in about an hour and a half. It'll be up on the Seattle Sports app, which you should download. By the way, if you download it, and if you haven't yet, I don't know what's wrong with you, but once you download it, you can go to the bottom on the app and you can do the call-in feature. That will take you to the voice memo thing there, and then you can leave us a message, which we will play on Thursday at 8 o'clock. That's our new bit that we call Brock.
Here's
the thing. And we're
So here's
officially
the thing.
calling it, well, so here's the thing. Here's the thing. There's a little bit of a debate as to what it's actually called. In any event, leave us a fun message. You can react to anything you've heard throughout the week, anything you want to give us grief for, anything that you want to respond to. If you do have thoughts on A-Rod that you'd like to give, that would be a good spot to do it as well. So because we had to react to A-Rod, we weren't able to get to our most recent, most intriguing Seahawks update. And so today we are on to
number 19.
Abe Lucas, number 19, most intriguing Seahawk. I said earlier, Brock, I'd like for him to be higher. I'd like for him to be lower. In some ways, I want him to be higher because it would show that, I think he can really contribute the way he showed the promise of doing so as a rookie a couple seasons ago. I'd also like him to be lower because I'd like for him to be an automatic at right tackle and that we didn't have to be talking about his injury history. But unfortunately, I can't talk about him without it. I'm not going to get over Pete Carroll using the word chronic. And I know that the Seahawks took some time this year, this offseason, to kind of walk that back and say that maybe the surgery that he had over the offseason is going to be helpful and that this won't end up being a chronic injury. But until we see that with our own two eyes, that's going to be hard for me to fully embrace. And especially given that he didn't practice at all during what we've seen so far of the offseason workouts. Yeah, it's hard for me to believe that we're going to get the Abe Lucas that we saw as a rookie start to deliver on all of the promise and what he brought to that offensive line.
I'll never forget the intrigue you had. I think it was rookie
First
minicamp.
time I saw him, rookie minicamp. Like,
Yes.
wait, which one's the number one pick? Oh, I thought it was that guy. He stood out in a way that even Charles Cross didn't.
That's right. Massive.
Not just massive and athletic all at the same time.
Correct. I ran into, in the Wayback, I feel old, kind of talking to A-Rod and going to the Wayback machine and realizing, it was almost 30 years ago in 1996. But I remember some years ago, I went to this fundraiser. My buddy Jerry Jensen was a then coach at Archbishop Murphy. Chris Sullivan's son was there, and Chris, a big part of the football program there, and they were doing this little fundraiser that I spoke at, and they introduced me to one Abe Lucas. Said, hey, this kid, he was a senior that year. He's going to go play over at Washington State. And honestly, I think at that time, Salk, he was still taller than me. He was 6'6", but he's probably about 240 pounds. And then he goes over to Wazoo and gets to about 270, and then he becomes an all-conference player and an all-conference player and an all-conference player, and then, I don't know, about 330 pounds as a Seahawk, and yeah, that knee started barking and was a real irritant and a real stumbling block in his second year. I find it telling, looking at a lot of his videos, that he's back down to about 310. And I think some of this is just what can my body physically sustain, right? As you project many of these guys, and you look at, and they do, they study the size of their ankle joints and their knee joints and all of this. Like, can this guy handle another 30 pounds, another 50 pounds? Or is the body just going to wear down and break down? And I don't think it's a surprise coming off of just the stumbling block and the injury and all that aches and pains. Let's shed 15, 20 pounds.
Yeah.
Let's get back to doing what you said, being an athlete and moving. And I've said it once, I've said it 100 times. It doesn't mean that every guy's got to be a facsimile of what Huff and Grubb had at Washington. But my goodness gracious, go through this roster, and there's a bunch of facsimiles. Is there a Roma Dunze? Yeah. DK Metcalf. Is there a Jalen McMillan? Yeah. Tyler Lockett. Is there a Jalen Polk? Yeah. There's a Jackson Smith and Jigba and some others. Is there a Roger Rosengarten? Yeah. Abe Lucas. Right? Faltanu? Yeah. Left tackle Charles Crock, athletes.
Mm-hmm.
It is pretty remarkable at some of those pieces that they inherited and came into. And having these guys up front, you saw it with the wedding picture of Olu, right? And even out on the field, like, nope, we're going to move. We're going to play fast. We're going to play the tempo. You did it in the air raid at Wazoo. No problem for you. You did it in the air raid at Wazoo, Charles Cross, or Mississippi State. No problem for you. Let's play fast. Play with some tempo. And I think shedding 10 or 15 pounds, I think will help Abe Lucas feel a little bit better.
Well, it'll be great. I mean, again, the reason he is where he is because he's an intriguing player. There's no doubt. He is a difference maker when he plays. He is the best right tackle we've seen here since certainly Breno Giacomini. And probably he's better than Breno. I mean, he's certainly got a higher upside than what Breno could bring to the table. So he's the best right tackle since, it's been a while, right?
Andy Heck.
Okay. It's not a name I know as well. I've heard it, but I'm not sure I remember him all that well. He's got a tremendous
Sean
ability.
Locklear?
Yeah, Sean Locklear. I think he could be certainly as good as Locklear, maybe better.
Mm-hmm.
People mover? He's a legit people mover.
Yes, he is.
But if he can't stay on the field, and if it's going to be a chronic injury, then it really doesn't matter how good he is, which is why George Fant was brought in here in the offseason to protect against that. So very intriguing player, and I think somebody that all Seahawks fans really, really like and are rooting for really hard. We'll see if the knee can handle it and whether or not this injury is something he can put behind him. Because if he does, I don't have a lot of doubts about him as a player. He's number 19 as we continue to count down the most intriguing Seahawks every day, usually at 9. Sorry, got a little messed up today because we had to do some reaction with A-Rod, but 9 o'clock every day leading up to the Seahawks' first preseason game. We are giving you the most intriguing players.
Pretty amazing, man. The old rookies are in the building tomorrow. It is just, this offseason, and I know why. It's because of all of the massive change. Right, and the decisions that were made, and then into all the free agency and the draft and everything that goes with a whole new regime and the OTAs that started 2 weeks early. Like this off season went like that, and in training camp is upon us, and we know this. Once the veterans get there next week, this isn't like a month away. Like the first preseason game is just a few weeks right after that. So this, the NFL doesn't ever rest. And even though this was their down period, I never felt a down period go quicker in all of our years of doing this.
Well, and also certainly when rookies show up a week before everything is really open, it kind of makes it feel like it's here, even though it's not really here. Right? Like, oh, rookies are tomorrow. Yeah, but we're not going to see them. We're not going to be out. Like, everybody shows up next week, right? Kind of middle to end. What is it, Wednesday or Thursday next week?
Wednesday of next week.
Wednesday of next week that we'll really start thinking about this. And I always have mixed feelings about it. I will admit, I have very mixed feelings about the start of training camp every year.
Because you wish you were back out there. They practice in the morning so we could say hi to the Eagles.
No.
And so we could see the dew rope and we could see the dog and we could see all that good stuff. And you could be under the table whining about how cold your hands are and it's so cold out here in July.
No, because just like spring training signifies the beginning of, nice weather, unfortunately, the start of training camp starts to signify the end. And I feel like it's just getting started. Like a week or two ago, we started getting nice weather, and then it's all going to go away as training camp
That
gets
is
going.
not, that's not true.
It signifies
you
it.
You get 6 good weeks of weather, okay? You get from July 4th to September 1st.
No, you should really get till the end of September. I think most of September is still pretty nice.
Usually.
Still, it starts feeling, oh my gosh, fall, and that's going to lead to winter. Just feel terrible about the whole thing. Hey, you want to go back to some of the A-Rod conversation, and we'll do it a little bit more in-depth tomorrow. But Jerry DiPoto is going to join us at 8:30 tomorrow, so that'll be some of our conversation tomorrow as well. And then Jeff Passan will join us on Thursday at 8:30. So there's kind of a lot going on here in what is generally kind of a slow week for sports radio. But no, not with some of the guests and people that we've got. Yeah, there was a lot here from A-Rod, and I want to come back to what he said specifically about Julio. And Julio's been slumping. So how do you handle a big-time slump early in your career like Julio? Here was A-Rod reflecting on his own career.
Yeah, statistic-wise, that was probably the worst year of my career over the course of 20 years. I think I hit 23 home runs and drove in not even 100 runs, I think 84 runs or something. There is something to be said about a little bit of a sophomore slump, and I think that just requires a little bit of, re-engineering in your imagination, because as a rookie, they're going to challenge you, and they don't want, in my case, Ken Griffey or Edgar Martinez to beat you, so they're going to be hyper aggressive with me. I made them pay that year, my freshman year, my rookie year, and then sophomore year, the league adjusted to me, and I came back in 98 with the 40-40 season. So 97 in many ways was an adjustment year. It was like a tough sophomore year, but I was able to overcome it with, preparation, hard work, and pretty much it.
Preparation, hard work. That was what got him through it. And then the follow-up question is, okay, well, who do you listen to?
I think that's an impossible question to really answer, but I will say less voices is better. And I would focus on the big three. I know that a lot of these analytics office are going to the direction of numbers and terms we can't even acronyms understand, and almost rewriting history. But I'm going to go back to what I know best. The very best players that I ever saw play were guys like Edgar Martinez, Ken Griffey Jr., and Jay Buhner. And the one thing that all three of them did is they hit for high average, especially the first two, Griffey and Martinez. They hit home runs, they drove in runs, and they scored runs. And to me, those are the four stats that help you win the very most.
High average, hit home runs, score runs. Right, he's still getting on base. He's scoring some runs. I think from an average standpoint, he's certainly one of the better ones on your team. I don't think anybody's hitting 270, correct, on the whole team. Certainly not. I mean, Robles is, and his at-bats as a Mariner. But, and it's easy to say that, right? I mean, yes, obviously. Those are all easy things to say. Oh, yeah, the league adjusted to you. I think the one thing I would say to many that listen to that, nod along, and the youth baseball coaches that texted in, is these guys got to make adjustments feels like every at bat.
Yeah, almost every pitch.
It's not a seasonal adjustment, right? I mean, it is a at bat to at bat with what you are facing, because these guys have more of an arsenal. It can attack you in ways that the guys couldn't do it 25 years ago. They didn't have the data that they have today. They don't know where those holes in your swing. They kind of knew, but they didn't have all the numbers to do it. And the adjustments that these guys got to make on a night-to-night basis, a series-to-series basis, a week-to-week basis, pretty darn challenging.
It made me I was thinking as we listened to that, especially the second time, about the difference between all of the new statistics and measurement tools that we have, and as he said, sort of the four big old-school stats. And I have a hypothesis. I'm not ready to say this is the case yet, but it's a hypothesis that I wonder if we could talk through a little bit more detail tomorrow, and maybe smarter people than us could help with. Is it possible that by focusing on those older stats, on batting average, runs, RBI, and home runs, that the other ones come naturally? That yes, those are valuable stats on base percentage, weighted OB, all that type of stuff, all the new stuff, that it's all helpful to help you judge players and determine, what they're doing and how they're affecting the game, etc. But that for players, the best thing to do is to focus on those original stats and everything else will fall into place.
Possibly. So then you'd have to kind of look at the top 10 guys in those traditional stats, right? The Kwand and the Mookie Betts and the guys, Salk, that are doing it with the traditional stats. And then if you want to test your hypothesis tonight, do those other ones also then rise to the occasion?
Yeah.
I mean, what he said about, and obviously it's top of his mind, and I'm sure they're going to discuss it on the set, as they've discussed a lot of things. And the fact that Stephen Kwand's hitting 310 with 2 strikes.
Yeah.
310 with 2 strikes. The Mariners as a team are hitting 141.
Yeah, and some of that is terrible hitting, and some of it, I think, at least for years, has been explained as, hey, we will still want them to take close pitches. We don't want the approach to change. We don't want them to be less aggressive. We want them to still take a pitch that's just off the plate. If it's a ball, it's a ball. Don't swing at it.
Yep.
Versus the old school technique of, hey, start protecting the plate, swinging at anything close, foul them off, do something until you can get the right pitch. The new idea is, well, you can't do anything with that anyway. Let it go, hope that it's a ball, and that you're eventually going to walk.
Yep.
And maybe it is time to start thinking about that a little bit.
I don't know. All I know, man, is playing that Guardians team was no fun.
True.
And starting with that little pest at the top of that order that was such an irritant that totally starts what they got going, which is one of the best first halves in all of baseball.
Got a list? Time to put it in order.
Fred Dwumfor's house. Top five meals that I have ever had.
This is Ranked.
To be honest, that list was really biased.
Every morning at 9:45 on Brock and Salk.
Top 10 list. I'm not buying that.
Ranked.
All right, I saw some requests today to rank anthems because of the poor girl country singer last night who just should not have been doing a national anthem. That was a train wreck.
1 Whitney Houston, 2 Chris Stapleton. There's not a third.
No, 1 Rough Riders.
Yeah.
I mean, Morris understands how this works.
Still going to put Rush anthem up there as well. But whatever.
No.
Good Charlotte.
You know what we're going to rank tomorrow? Shoot, I should have thought about this. I'm sorry. You know what we're ranking tomorrow? In light of EA Sports College Football coming out yesterday, we are going to rank the best video games ever.
Okay. I am woefully unprepared to do that.
Seriously?
I mean,
you never played little Space Invaders?
I haven't played a video game system since original Nintendo.
We did that one ranking all around the video game with the soda pop.
With Tyson, yeah. Again,
Space Invaders
if you want to end the conversation in 1992, I'm good.
Mike Tyson
if
Punch
it has
Out?
to continue past 92,
Okay.
I haven't played one video game.
Well, maybe Mike Tyson Punch Out's your number 1.
Original video games, then.
Yeah.
We'll see. Old school.
Pitfall.
That's a conversation. We're also not going to rank rods in honor of Alex Rodriguez. That's probably not going to happen.
Don't need that.
Instead, Justin, what are we ranking today?
Shout.
Shouts? Shouts ranked.
You know
and
what's
we've
fun
got
is when I search in the Brock and Salt show folder on our computers for shout.
Yeah.
It's a lot of Brock shouting at.
Oh, really?
References, yeah.
Like what?
Why are you doing so much shouting?
What would I shout out?
What's up
Clouds?
with that? Old
I don't
man
know.
shouting at clouds?
No,
is it
when
just
I search shout.
on? Yeah. Is there
Brock-
actual sound?
Brock shouting out Paul Sewald on Coward. Oh, I guess that's right. That was you actually gave him a shout out.
Sure did.
Brock shouts on Bob at Seattle Seahawks broadcast. There's just a lot of Brock shouting.
Why so much shouting, Brock?
I don't know. I'm excitable.
Stop shouting so much. All right, are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's see what we've got here in terms of some shouts ranked. We've got Will.i.am and Britney.
I wanna scream and shout and let it all out. And scream and shout and let it out.
Yeah.
We saying oh,
There you go. You like that one?
That's the.
That doesn't do it for you, huh?
Yeah.
Maybe you like Shotgun Messiah?
when you shout it
Yeah,
No,
that
no.
one doesn't feel like you.
No, band name kind of gave it away. Posers.
Posers. You don't like Shotgun Messiah, huh?
There's only one Messiah.
Who is it? How about from the movie Rockstar? That's Steel Dragon, of course, with the lead singer of Steelheart.
I actually shamelessly like that movie.
It's a decent movie.
It's pretty good. Mark Wahlberg is fairly convincing from it.
Yeah, he is. It's predictable. But he and Jennifer Aniston are good. Yeah. Who's this?
This is a shout out to my ex.
A little mix.
Heard he in love with some other chick.
Uh-huh. Yep. And then we've got Shout Stain Remover, Brock.
What would you do if your son stole home and most of the dirt around it?
I'd shout it out.
We need a poo?
What was that voice?
Rams rules.
Yeah, it's kind of sounded like it. We had a little Ronnie James Dio.
Let it all out.
God, Brock, you would be amazed at how small that guy is. Ronnie James Dio was tiny. Tiny little
Like
guy.
Tim Kirkchin tiny?
Yes. Tiny little guy. Rock god, though. Absolute rock god.
5'4".
Yeah. He's real small. Yeah. Is that true? 5'4"?
According to the internet, Bruce Dickinson's 5'6", apparently.
They have similar voices, too.
Kind of fits.
Yeah, very similar voices. Maybe it's a thing. All right, you ready for the top 5, Brock? And this is going to be unpopular a little bit, but I have to tell you, I don't like this song. But I recognize its value in the world. It's been played at every wedding since like 1955.
Oh.
But
Of course you don't like this.
I don't like this song that much. The Otis Day version. I know, it's got the great moment in Animal House. Oh, you want the Isley Brothers instead? There you go.
Well, you know you make me wanna kick my heels.
All right. Very, 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 very sacrilegious for a Husky to say anything nice about the Ducks. But they've turned that into their end of third quarter, kind of like the Wisconsin does with Jump Around. And the whole stadium does it, and the players on the field do it, and maybe the announcers do it, and it's kind of fun.
It's overrated.
Yeah, we get it. You don't like something everybody else likes.
No, it's just overrated. That's all.
Your bit.
It's just overrated.
You know, you were speaking about Napoleon's hat earlier and these little guys. How
Yeah.
tall was Napoleon?
I don't know.
They
Not
say
tall.
5'6.5".
Oh, wow. Much taller than Ronnie James Dio. Big hat, though.
Yeah.
That's number 5. Number 4 is Kiss.
You could have given me 1,000 guesses of who that was, and I would have never gotten
Yeah,
guessed.
we know. We played a whole game of that, bro.
We sure did.
You didn't do very well.
No, I did not.
No. I wonder if you know who this is. Probably not, but I'll give it a shot just to see.
Give it a shout.
Hey, we'll give it a shout.
Shout. Let it all out. These are the things I can do without. Come on.
Do you know who that is?
I've been waiting for you.
Another band that takes themselves
Is this your process?
Very seriously.
Yeah.
Would it help if you knew they also sang Everybody Wants to Rule the World?
And the name rhymes?
Yeah.
No.
Duran.
Tears for Fears.
Good guess.
Close. They are very similar to Duran Duran. That's a reasonable guess for that.
Thanks.
It is.
Appreciate it.
Very similar, but Tears for Fears.
Shout. Man, it all out. You
Sink head
better.
over heels.
That's good, Brock. Number 2. It's sad that Vince Neil is so bad now that he can't sing.
That Motley Crue?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout at the Devil?
Yeah.
Name of the album.
Shout at the Devil.
And it's truly like, as much as he can't sing now and was never a great singer, more of a great frontman when he was young, I love the vocals on that track. I think that's his best song vocally. I love it. He hits the high notes.
You want a really, really random question that maybe you can also hypothesize over tonight and think about as you test your other hypothesis?
Yeah.
What is the one band that Rockstar Bob could have slid into as the lead singer and been the front man and starred?
Hard. I mean, I never really got to see Bob during
Dude
that
can
time.
sing. Dude can sing.
Can, but I didn't see him.
He had the
during
hair
that
for
time.
it.
But think of the personality. Think of the Bob we know. Like, if you would have slid Bob into Stone Temple Pilots, slid Bob into Alice in Chains, slid Bob into Coldplay.
He's like a warrant and a rat more than a
Slid Bob into think about that. I don't want your answer
I
now.
see him more as like a barbershop.
I don't want your answer. I want it tomorrow.
Oh my God.
Which band could Bob have slid into and been the
I
front
think he
man
was
star?
actually originally in the Benny Goodman Orchestra, if I'm not mistaken.
Stop it.
Is that not true?
I'm trying to ask
Number
a
1
legit
is the
question.
Beatles. You know what song this is, bro?
Shout.
It's not Shout. No. Come on.
Something with Shout.
Do you know what movie from the 80s this was in?
Twist and Shout.
There
Twist
you
and
go.
Shout.
Is this just an instrumental twist and shout?
Sounds like it.
All right.
Can I
just
get
an-
can I
Kind
get
of
some
hear them
lyrics?
saying the words in the background, but it's like really faint. That's a
Well,
weird
maybe it's from Ferris Bueller's. Who knows? All right, there you go. That is
Mono.
Shouts ranked. Sorry,
Think of
Brock,
that.
we
I
gotta
wanted
go.
a good answer on Bob tomorrow.
I already gave you my answer. I think he was
Stop
actually
it.
in the Benny Goodman Orchestra. He did some of their singing.
Stop it.
No?
Be a good teammate.
Being a good teammate. That's a huge honor to be with. I mean, that's a big time band.
Be a
Big
good
band era. Was he in Bill Haley and his comments?
I tried to be a good teammate, get us A-Rod.
You did. It was great. I was a good teammate, too, and didn't ask him a very inappropriate question I thought.
Appreciate that.
We will come back tomorrow morning. You'll hear that A-Rod interview plus Jerry DePoto at 8:30, and we'll be here at 6. Till then, Brock the Hay.
Barn.
See you, everybody.
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy.
What is the single best thing that this organization has ever done?
I think hiring Pete Carroll as their head coach, I think that set in motion the greatest era of Seahawks football we've ever experienced.
Every subsequent thing that I loved was a byproduct of hiring Pete Carroll. Those connections he still had to USC and local recruiting trails brought in a lot of those gems that he found in the 5th round, and I don't want to discredit John from doing that as well. Pete Carroll, though, hired John Schneider.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Lexus is electrified, and the first ever RZ450E has the performance and range to get you where you need to go. With the exclusive Lexus Direct 4 all-wheel drive technology, Lexus of Bellevue has over 50 RZs available for immediate delivery with electrifying savings. Up to $18,500 lease cash on every RZ450E. Visit LexusofBellevue.com.
On approval of credit through LFS, lease cash from Lexus available on select 2024 RZ styles. Must take delivery by July 31st, 2024. A documentary service fee up to $200 may be added to the purchase price or capitalized costs. See dealership for details.
Have you considered surgery or even joint replacement? Hey, it's Dave Wyman, and before you make that decision, see Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine. Why? Because he gives it to you straight. Dr. Wagner said my right knee needs replacement, and I appreciate his honesty and expertise. My left knee is fine right now, but the minute it isn't, I'm heading to Dr. Wagner for his expert opinion. I want to avoid another surgery, and I've heard so many patients rave about results from their 90-minute outpatient stem cell procedure with Dr. Wagner. He's a board-certified Seattle physician with over 30 years of experience and has performed more than 20,000 stem cell procedures using a person's own stem